But yeah, I've done that as well on like Voice Meter, because it has like the slider where you can basically move your voice to the quality that you need it to be.
Mm-hmm.
Your pitch, the bass, like everything. You just basically move a slider around, and I have spent like half an hour moving that thing around, and then like I would take a picture of the settings of where it is. And then half an hour later, I go back to where I like where I was compared to where I started at. I'm like, oh, I moved like maybe 2 pixels. Great.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah. The difference.
Hello, Oh, go ahead. No.
The difference for me is I actually have a mixer on my desk, so I'm sitting here turning and twisting knobs back and forth. And I'm like, I don't know what any of these do.
You'll get there, man. You'll be a whiz at all this. And if not, it's okay. Your producer does it in post. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the end of time. I'm Michael.
I'm Chris.
Man, it's been a week.
Yep.
It has been a week. Scrolling into this shit. Do we have any actuallys from last week?
Not that I'm aware of.
I don't think so either. I thought there may have been something, but I don't know. Maybe not. Any news-related incidents that went on? Besides E3 hype coming?
Yeah, I actually have 2 news items for you today.
Okay. Oh, from me? Awesome.
Well, for our listeners, but also you.
Also awesome.
I mean, you judge whether or not they're for you.
Sure.
So the first one, and this is kind of pre-E3 something, but I saw an article where they're announcing a Mario plus Rabbids. I don't know if it's a sequel or not, but it's another game following it. This one is Mario plus Rabbids Donkey Kong Adventure.
Oh, shit.
So instead of being in the Mushroom Kingdom, I'm assuming you're going to be on DK Island or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
I actually don't know what the name of that island is. Does it have a name?
I want to say it's DK Island.
Nailed it.
I'm sure our listeners will correct us, unless we correct ourselves.
Yeah. So that's pretty cool. You know, I still haven't even beat the first one, but it's just because I haven't gotten around to it yet. But it'll be fun having the DK crew in there. See how that goes. The other piece of news I have, and the one that is, depending how you look at it, probably the bigger news, is that the NES Classic is coming back on June 29th.
Hot damn.
Yeah, they're doing another run of them.
And from what I'm seeing, yes, it is Donkey Kong Island.
Nice.
So, yeah, good job.
Don't even play the games and I got it.
Yeah. That's a shame, man. You should do that. They're good.
I mean, I've played a little bit of them, but I've never owned any of them. So it's just been, playing at friends' houses and stuff a little bit.
I'll be talking about it in our topic today.
Okay.
But I don't know if this is actually the first I've heard of this news. Have you seen any details if this is the same, like, are they just bringing back the same NES Classic, or is this the same NES Classic with different games on it?
No, from what I read, it's the exact same one.
Gotcha.
I could double check that, but as far as I'm aware, same one.
That's just fine, man. I mean, people still love that thing, and it's sold out a lot, so...
Yeah, I went online, seeing how much they're going for now, knowing that another one's coming out. I'm curious to see how the prices are. And on eBay, it retails at, what, $30, $50?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
On eBay, they were from $30 to $50. I was like, okay, that's cool. And then Amazon listing, like $300. I'm like,
yep.
How do I report this person?
Yeah. And how did that reverse? You would think it'd be the other way around. You think Amazon would have genuine local market style people pricing it, where eBay would be like, no, I'm just a guy that owns it and will knock this price up.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's crazy. But when you think about it, I mean, Amazon technically is kind of work the same way. I actually don't know the infrastructure of Amazon. I don't know how they work, because I believe that independent sellers sell through Amazon as well as businesses and etc. But I don't know. All I know is I have Amazon Prime and I'm quite happy with it. So
Yep.
I don't believe there was any news.
Which Prime is actually going up.
Yep, I saw that, and that's still fine. I mean, I guess it depends on the person. It depends on how much shopping you do.
Mm-hmm.
But again, since both me and my wife, I mean, we buy something on Amazon every 2 to 3 days of the week.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we spend anywhere from like $5 to $100. It just depends on what we're buying and what's going on. But every single item that we get Amazon Prime, and it's all 2-day shipping.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't take long for that to pay for itself.
Oh yeah.
I mean, even with it going up, I think it's going up to 120 now.
Yeah.
Which it was 100 before. So, oh boy, 20 extra bucks a year. I'm still getting free 2-day shipping. Like, I ordered today, I will get it Saturday morning. That's crazy.
And if you're into physical copies of games, you get a discount on them as well.
Right.
Every single one of them.
And it's something that me and my wife both have talked about, is that we have Amazon Prime and we have yet to take full advantage of all the other extras that you get. There's movies, there's music, there's books, there's all kind of shit that you get. And Amazon will remind you constantly,
Mm-hmm.
hey, we see you've been an Amazon Prime member for like 2.5 years. Just so you know, you can get like 10 free movies a month. You just go here and pick what you want. And we just never have. It's just...
Yeah, most of the books I read are actually on, Kindle. And I usually get them off Amazon. They have books that are just straight up free. And they have the ones that are free with the... It's like $10 a month, but it's essentially a Prime Books thing on top of what's free. You can pay $10 a month and read unlimited books. Kindle Unlimited, that's what it's called.
Yeah.
So I have a membership to that because I'll go on there and be like, all right, I want to read a book. Let's see what's related to the last thing I read that I really liked. Okay. Oh, hey, this is a 7-book series. All right, I'm going to read it. Next week. All right, what's next?
Yeah.
You also get, and just so you know, Michael, with your Amazon Prime subscription, if you link it to your Twitch account, you also get a free sub every month.
Is it every month?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was like once because I've used mine on Salty Bet.
Mm.
So, oh shit.
No, you have to renew it every month if you do it that way. So, if you wanted to go support anybody's channel with your Prime sub, you could do that.
Man, your subtle hints are just... man, I can taste it. Speaking of free shit...
Mm-hmm.
Any idea what PlayStation Plus free members are getting, or any idea what PlayStation Plus members are getting for free this coming round?
Are you talking about for June or currently in May?
I think, you know what, both. Fuck it. I think May was Beyond Two Souls.
That sounds right,
and something else. I have not checked out what's coming up for June, though.
I'm going to pull up the list, but there's... another game. It was a
Beyond Two Souls and Rayman Legends were the games from May. The two big games from May, anyway. There was also Risen 3 Titan Lords for the PS3, Eat Them for the PS3, King Oddball for the PS Vita, and Furmins for the PS Vita.
You know what? The other one I was trying to think of, I think was actually on the Xbox Gold one.
Yeah.
My bad.
It happens, man. It's all video games in somebody's eyes. Let me see. There's a update from a couple days ago. Sony will release their new roster. But I'm not seeing actual titles. I'm seeing a lot of May stuff still being advertised. Which, I mean, that's fine. I don't mind it being secret. Shadow of the Colossus remake free for PlayStation 4 Plus. Don't you wish?
Yeah, I think they hold it pretty close to their chest. And if it's released early, it's pretty much a leak.
Yeah. Yeah, because I'm seeing stuff that was, this was these dates were just a couple days ago, and it's just just a reminder free games are coming. Here's something from 11 hours ago. let's see. Announced, this is a month long. So fingers crossed for The Order 1886, Uncharted, the Nathan Drake Collection. That's topical. And The Last of Us Remastered. Okay, that'd be a pretty cool one, but I think I already own that one. Yeah, so no big deal. I still tout this. I think it's cool. I mean, I'm assuming that, you know, Microsoft does this as well, and I don't know if, I don't think Nintendo does it because they don't even have a true online service yet for the Switch anyway.
Isn't that in the works? Cool. We talked about that before.
Yeah, it's coming, and yeah, it is what it is. I still say that it's, as long as this PlayStation Plus free game service shit has been around, I have just not been involved in it, or just didn't notice or didn't care. And then when I finally got involved in it, oh yeah, Bloodborne's for free. I'm like, oh, you guys fucking rock. That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah, I look at my Xbox library and it's like, you own 160 games. I'm like, what? And then I'm like, oh, most of them are games with gold, you know.
Yeah.
The backwards compatible versions of things. Yeah, so.
I got some, like, goofy kind of Micro Machines racing looking game last month, and the Mad Max game too. I can't tell you if I will ever play those, but they were free, and I was vaguely interested in one and vaguely interested in the artwork of the other. So I was like, well, fuck it. I mean, it's free. You know, even if I don't play it, I don't have to. It's free.
Yeah, and the big one for me this month, which I will probably play eventually. On Xbox, was Metal Gear Solid 5.
Oh, what?
The Phantom Pain.
Holy shit. That's a bomb game right there. That's another one of those 100+ titles, man. You still got to deal with Kojima bullshit, but it's a good game. Gameplay's good. Well, all right. It's been a week. What you been up to this week, Chris?
This has been a week of games for me.
Hot damn, I'm not alone.
Not as many, I'm assuming, as you, and not as many as I have in the past in my purely game weeks. But I didn't really watch anything, movie or TV wise. I watched a lot of Twitch. That's once I mentioned this before. Once I got done with kind of all the MCU series that were available or that I was ready to watch, decided to take a break and kind of ease off on that.
Yeah. Just a reminder to the audience, if this is your first episode or you're just randomly on this one, go check out our Avengers Infinity War episode for a fairly in-depth review, spoiler-free and spoiler as well. And if you haven't seen that movie by this episode, you need to see that.
Yeah, go watch it.
It's just a quick little 10-second refresh. Go see that movie. Especially if you've seen all the MCU movies up to this point. It pays off. It's great. It is a fucking phenomenal movie you will enjoy. Back to you, Chris.
Yeah. So, getting into the games, let's see. Okay, since I talked about it last week, State of Decay 2. I mentioned as a news thing because it was only $30. I went and bought the $50 pack. Just because that's typically what I do, so I get DLC and stuff ahead of time. The game is definitely $30 for a reason. It's not a bad game in general, but it's definitely not a high quality, highly polished game either in my eyes.
You don't see it as being AAA, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. The graphics, I loaded up the game and I was like, this just released. Why does this look like this? I'm used to certain games, and I don't mean to sound like a graphics snob because I'm not. I love 7 Days to Die. Graphics are by no means good in that game. But for State of Decay, I thought it was a higher standard game. Yeah. Is probably a good way to put it. So seeing these graphics were a little off-putting. The gameplay itself, I think, mechanically is, for the most part, fun. The story is interesting. We talked about it's a zombie game, so you kind of have the same tropes in it that you typically have. I gave it like 4 hours worth of play, one afternoon essentially. One of the big things here that I wasn't aware of at first was that it's not available on Steam. This is a Microsoft. What's the thing when you only one platform? What's the word? Help me out here. Exclusive.
Exclusive?
Yeah, thanks. A few seconds late. I got it already. Thanks.
That's okay.
Yeah, so it's a Microsoft exclusive, which means you can get it on Xbox One and the Microsoft Store.
Mm-hmm.
And if you buy it on one, you get it on the other automatically.
Oh, wow.
Which, that's the one awesome thing about the Microsoft Store. They do it like that. If it's a game that's on both platforms, you can play it on either platform without having to buy 2 copies. It is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And you can play cross-network that way too. So you can join in someone else's game or, play a co-op game across the platforms.
Mm-hmm.
It has a interesting mechanic because this is very much a survival game. You build up your resources and upgrade your base. It's not a survival game as in you build. You have your little thing and you just put your walls and whatever you want. It's not a base building game. You have places you essentially take over and then static rooms in there you can place things like one of the first things you're told to do is add an infirmary onto the house you're taking over as your base. And then you can upgrade those as you get the resources. You have to manage your resources because depending on how many people are in your little safe house, resources tick down every game day. So you get, I think at one point I had like 7 people in my place and I needed a ton of food. Because not only was it used for each person, but it also had to do with the medicine I was producing or something like that. So I think I needed a total of like 9, I don't even know what they call it, 9 packs of food or whatever the counter is for that. And to get that, you just run around and basically loot things, buildings, cars. You can drive cars in the game, but they have durability, and you have to, either find or make repair kits to keep them going. One of the good things though is the vehicles have storage, and the amount of storage on it depends on what kind of vehicle it is. So it's pretty cool. You get this small little, essentially smart car. You'll have like 3 squares worth of inventory in it, but you get the van, you have like 15. But it only seats 2 instead of 4. So you have these trade-offs you make when you pick a vehicle to drive around in. And I only played it solo. I didn't play it with anyone else. My understanding is multiplayer is okay, but it's not as good of an experience in some ways. For example, the loot boxes you can pick up, they are color-coded to particular players in multiplayer. So if one person goes into a house, they may be able to loot, half of the boxes if there are only 2 players. If there are 4 players, 1 box out of the entire house maybe. The others will be assigned to other players to loot. So the other players have to run over and get them. So it's a very interesting system, and I heard something about there's some sort of essentially a boundary around the host player.
Oh, no, that's cool.
So you can't go beyond a certain radius of them.
Right.
It's cool if you don't care about that, but if you want to, say, explore 2 ends of the map at the same time and split up, not so cool. So it kind of depends on your game, your style of play, the way you want to do it. The other thing about multiplayer is only the host is benefiting from it. You're essentially working for the host, in his camp. So nothing you do will carry over, to any other game. You're not bringing in your character per se. You're just joining them to help.
Yeah.
One interesting mechanic to the game is that you have to swap characters. You don't just have your one character you run around with and that's it. You have however many characters are in your camp, you can switch to any one of them and play with them. They have their own inventories, their own stats, their own skills, their own things they're good at, their own personalities, personal quests. And you will literally have to. As you explore and stuff, your character will start getting tired. If you run around for, a couple of days straight, your stamina starts dropping, your max stamina starts dropping, and you're literally at the point where you can't sprint, you can't do anything, and your character's like huffing and puffing, acting exhausted. So you have to go back to your base and swap to someone else while they're, resting. And you can bring out other people in your camp with you. So if you want to bring, 3 NPCs with you, you can absolutely do that at any point. And have them help you fend off zombies and whatnot. They won't help you loot, of course, but they're extra defense if you need it. The downside is they take damage. They get exhausted too. So it's just like you're controlling them as far as their availability. It's not like, oh, let me carry around this, invincible NPC and then switch to it when I'm ready. Nope. They have ammo and stuff for weapons. NPC uses it. It's gone. You have that set amount, which is, I think, good. It kind of cheapens it in some games where you have your invincible NPC and you just swap or whatever, and it kind of negates the whole, in the endurance aspect of it.
Yeah.
But it is a $30 game. I'm definitely glad it's a $30 game. If it was $50, people would be up in arms about this, I think. But for $30, not bad. Especially if you're a fan of the, survival type thing. I never played the first, so I can't give any sort of comparison on how it is compared to the first one.
Mm-hmm.
But overall, not bad.
All right.
Let's see. So I played some more Destiny 2. It was actually yesterday. Because Iron Banner's this week. Now, Iron Banner has kind of been the core of what I've done in Destiny since the start, because it was the easiest way to get to max light. It was the one event that the drops were constantly improving you.
Okay.
Destiny 2, they changed it to where it's not that anymore. It's just another thing you do. You can get some skins now, some different weapons, but they're not going to be high enough to actually make you go up in light level or power level.
I wonder why the change.
Well, I don't know. But it coincides with how they went to these powerful engram styles with your weekly objectives. I think it's to kind of slow down the rate of increase. They want to give only so many ways to up your power level per week. I think last night I started at 348 light. Might have been 347. And when I ended the night, I was still only at 350. And that increase wasn't from Iron Banner. That was from the powerful engrams that I got for doing my Crucible objectives and the clan rewards, because I'm still in a clan in Destiny 2. So automatically, as long as other people in the clan are doing things, I can get up to 4 rewards per week for free from it.
Nice.
And then my play contributes to our overall rank. So it's not like I'm doing nothing, I'm still helping out, but I don't have to do these specific events to get the reward from the clan. So Iron Banner, I haven't really paid a whole lot of attention to it before. I did, a few fights to get the armor that I have now. And then I was looking at the NPC, Lord Saladin, that gives you, your rewards. And one of the things before is you had reputation that, every match you completed, you gained more rep. And once you got to a certain rank with rep, you could buy the equipment off of them and unlock, other stuff. In this case, they're not using the rep system anymore you actually have to turn in tokens to gain your rep, which isn't as fast. And I don't know. It seems. I don't think it's a worse system. I don't know. Overall, as far as time needed or matches needed. But I was doing a little bit of math on it, and the highest level reward in his little shop thing required rank 35. Now, Iron Banner rank resets every time. So you have a week to hit this rank 35. And for perspective, the tokens, you need 20 tokens per rank. It's just, it doesn't scale. It's no, like you need 1 and 4, then 8, it doesn't do that. You need
20 around the board.
20 tokens up the board. So for 35 ranks, that's 700 tokens. Now you may be wondering, how do you get tokens?
Chris, how do you get tokens?
So every match you play gives you some tokens. You either get 2 for losing or 5 for winning. So if you won every single game you played, that's still 150 roughly games.
Still a grind. Yeah.
And that's if you won every single one of them.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know how many games I played last night. I lost a fair amount of them. I did do okay, though. I had a map where I went 27-2 for my KDA, which was nice.
Mm-hmm.
And both my deaths were in the last 2 minutes. It was so painful. I thought I was going to have a flawless game. I actually got the medal that they have in Destiny 2 that says they ran out of medals because I was up to, I think, a 20 kill streak.
Wow.
Which in Destiny 2, they don't count. It's not just kills, it's kills and assists. So it's not like it's a true 20 kill streak, but still
makes you feel good.
Oh, yes. Yeah, and I had a couple games that weren't that good, but were pretty good too.
That just a really quick side tangent. Yeah. That's one thing that I loved about Titanfall and Titanfall 2. I like that they use like a point system for what you do, because in Titanfall and Titanfall 2, they have it's not just players that you're fighting against. There's NPCs as well. And yeah, they're almost cannon fodder. But if you get 4 or 5 of them together, they can fuck you up. But it's nice to go around and get a kill for something and get an amount of points, and then go around and get an NPC kill to get a little bit of points, and so on and so forth. It still makes you feel like you're contributing something,
Yeah.
So,
and I like that.
I'll take any reward.
Yeah, and I like that about Destiny 2's new system, because getting assists isn't a bad thing.
No, it's good.
Just because you got 10 kills on your own, that doesn't mean you're better than the person that got 10 assists.
Yeah.
They probably took down half the health on your 10 kills, in some cases.
Right.
So I really like that it doesn't negate that support role you can play.
And that's just, another side, just a really quick side tangent. That's something else that I loved about Battlefield. That's another main reason why I swapped over to Battlefield, specifically Bad Company 2 and Battlefield 3, because I like playing a support class, even whether it's anti-personnel, anti-vehicle, or whatever. I love knowing that even though I'm not the guy out there getting 37 kills and no deaths, I've done a fuck ton on my side to help the team.
Exactly.
I brought down aircraft. I shut off tanks. I disarmed bombs. I got a few side kills for somebody going across the field. Like, I like that support. And when a game has a point system or some type of reward system to make you feel equally as good as the guy going across the field getting 37-0, and fucking kudos to you, man.
Yeah. Absolutely. So, I gave it 5 hours worth of play last night. I gained 5 ranks.
Wow.
So by that math, I need to play 30 more hours of Iron Banner before Tuesday morning to max out rewards. Which, if I had started on Tuesday, to be fair, I would start on Wednesday, so it's not like it's that much extra time. But if I had started on Tuesday, that's, 5 hours per day.
Yeah.
So basically, you're dedicating your afternoon every day to Destiny 2 to reach this rank.
Yeah.
Unless you win every game and you're not a scrub like me, then you'll do it a little bit faster. But,
Right.
But overall, I still enjoy it. The Iron Banner this week is Control, which is, capture the points and hold them. And that's my favorite mode because it doesn't focus purely on kills. You're actually rewarded for holding the zones because there's 3 of them. If you control 2 of them, you get twice as many points. If you control all 3, I don't know if it's triple or not, but you get extra stuff, So it rewards that objective play.
Yeah.
So yeah, and it's still fun. I still like playing it. I don't know the meta at all for Crucible weapons, so I was frequently getting just annihilated. About halfway through the night, I ended up switching my loadout a little bit. Went from one of my scout rifles plus an exotic assault rifle to a different scout rifle and a different assault rifle, and I did tons better. So it's learning, or not really learning, but getting more familiar with weapons that I've used in the past and stuff, and determining which I'm just better at today. Because some days that the hard light assault rifle is an exotic. It's a really good weapon. PvP, it's hit or miss, but I've had some really good games with it. Yesterday, not one of those days. I could not nail kills with that weapon. I mentioned a little bit before, but for those that don't know, hard light, one of the great things about it is it actually ricochets. So if you have an enemy running away with a sliver of health, there's a chance you shoot around the corner, it might kill them from bouncing off the wall.
Nice.
People like to, sit there and lurk right around a corner. I'll bounce it off the wall opposite and ping them until they move away. It's great. But with the current... Go ahead.
I was gonna say, if I remember right, this is old school shit here, but I think in Quake 3, it was either Quake 3 Arena or Unreal Tournament. One of those two had a weapon called a flak cannon, and it basically shot like a shotgun blast of gigantic steel balls, and they would ricochet around, and that was the same thing. Like if you got a direct kill, if you got a direct hit, sure. But also you could, kind of glance off a wall and still get some damage or even a kill. I like, that's fucking cool. I like that.
Yeah. And this is actually a weapon that was in Destiny 1. Did the same thing too.
Nice.
So it was nice. I didn't use it in Destiny 1 very much either. It wasn't until Destiny 2 that I actually picked it up and realized, how much utility it had. But I don't think the meta right now with Crucible and with the current balance of the game really supports it. I switched to a different non-exotic assault rifle that's also, I think also from, no, it's not. It's only in Destiny 2. But it's one that has been used essentially since the game launched. So it's survived the balance changes and stuff. It has a tighter spread, so it's easier to aim. So, so Destiny 2 is still fun. Not fun enough for me to spend a whole lot of time with.
Right.
I don't know. It's one of those things. When I pick it up, I enjoy playing it, but I quickly go, okay, I'm not really accomplishing anything. I'll go play something else.
Yeah.
So, fun little game I picked up because it was on sale, and it's been on my list to play since it came out. But I haven't done it, and I heard horrible, horrible things about the game. But it was on sale, so I grabbed it. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 5.
All right, from left field, here comes this game.
Yeah, so I played on PlayStation, and I think PS2 was Tony Hawk's Underground, but starting on PlayStation, I've played I don't know how many hours with the Tony Hawk.
Really?
Oh yeah. I basically 100% the game. Me and my friends did. Even after 100%ing the game, we'd sit there and just see how high of a score we could rack up, And this is without cheats. So we just sit there and that was the first game where I actually held the controller, not standard. I had what I think's referred to as like the cat's claw or something like that.
Yeah, the claw.
Yeah, where you have multiple fingers on the buttons. Yeah. That's the only game.
Souls folks know all about that one.
That's the only game I've ever played like that, ever. But it was what I needed to be able to switch between tricks and stuff. So I decided to pick up Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 5. And, you know, I don't get what all the hate's about. It's fun. I think it's a little harder than the older games were. That also could be, you know, I'm out of practice. I can't know all the sick tricks like I used to.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't see what all the hate's about. The only big issue I had when I was playing, and this didn't crop up until later on, is I guess the game is kind of always on. You have to be connected to the network because it puts you in a lobby. You can choose a private lobby, but I still, even though I went to a private lobby, which I didn't at first, it was fine. It doesn't force you to play with other people. You're just kind of in the same lobby, and then you choose these little missions, or there's things you can do in free skate. And when you do a mission, you can choose to do it co-op or solo. So it doesn't force you into this multiplayer thing. But when I started switching to a private lobby, even though I was in a private lobby by myself, I still kept getting network errors. And it would kick me back to the title screen.
Yeah, that sucks, man.
Do
you have to play it online?
As far as I can tell, yes. Obviously, I'm not going to disconnect my stuff to test, but...
well, I mean, you could.
I could, but I just said I'm not going to.
That could be, you know, a root hang-up for a lot of people. Is like, I like the fact that I enjoyed the fact that, like, Dark Souls and Bloodborne, etc., were, like, always online. Fun fact about my first Dark Souls playthrough, I didn't even know that was a fucking thing. I didn't know that I was actually online constantly. And the first time that I got raided by somebody, I thought that was like some special NPC, because I think I kind of got ambushed like maybe a third of the way through the game, and by that point I had already got invaded by an NPC. So I was like, oh, here's another thing, and it was a person, and they fucked my world up. I was like, what? And then I think the name is what gave it away. I forget the name of the first NPC that I ever got raided by, but the fucking player character was like
XX Noob Killer,
donkey fuck Raider Boy 7912, and I was like, that's not an NPC. And then I looked, and I was like, hey, you didn't know this, but your game is always online. I didn't mind that, but I do know that if you disconnect, it'll still play. And I know for a lot of people, that's kind of a big fucking deal. You know, if you shouldn't have to, especially if it offers pretty much a single player experience. You know. Yeah,
I get that, but I don't know. I'm not one of those that complains about always on, because I'm pretty much always on. You know, I'm not one of those that really has to travel with my console. I'm not overseas. I'm not, doing any of this or that. So it's not a big deal to me in general. I understand totally when that is an issue for people. And it always is good for a game to have a offline mode for those people. But for me, it's not a deal breaker. Like I said, the game itself seems a little harder than the older ones. The graphics aren't terrible. They're pretty much what I would expect from a Tony Hawk game, even now. It's not like they went backwards. It's still better than it used to be. But yeah, I don't know. I gave it about 4 hours worth of play. I had fun with it. I don't know when I'll pick it back up, but it's one of those games that if I get bored, maybe I'll pick it up and just, do some tricks for a couple hours and do some missions and objectives.
Sounds like it's definitely an in-between kind of game,
Yeah. Not when I'm going to, block out my schedule to play, but if I have an hour before I want to go to bed, I'll load it up and run around a bit. There are things to unlock. There are, all the customization options you typically have in those games. I didn't see anything, and I don't know if I just missed it or if it's not in there, but I didn't see anything about, like doing a completely custom board or you can kind of spray it and put your own stickers on it and stuff. I do know you unlock other boards, and you can customize characters a little bit based on, presets. But I think a custom board thing would be pretty good for it to have, but I don't think it does. So the last game I played, I say last. It's last on the list, but not the last one I played. That was Destiny. But it was a little game I saw someone playing on Twitch the other day. I actually bought a copy for my girlfriend first and saw she was having fun with it, so I decided to buy it for myself too.
PUBG.
Nope. It's a game called House Flipper.
House Flipper.
Yep. Okay. Literally what it sounds like. You're someone that works on fixing houses to sell them up or resell them.
Okay.
So the premise is you start out just kind of working on other people's stuff for them, like a handy person, home decorator / maid. You have your first jobs are just basically cleaning up trash. Pick up all the trash in the place, sweep and mop and, do all this. And I say sweep and mop, but you just have one broom you use, and that's your mop and, everything else you need it to be.
Yeah, clean utility icon.
Yeah, clean the windows, etc. And that's your, you get paid for it. You can choose to either do the job up to 100%, or you can say, I'm done and I'm out at like 70% for less money. Don't know why you would really do that, but it's an option. Maybe for those levels that are, full of roaches and you're like, I've done everything else, but nope, not going near those. And there are about 20 to 30 of these little jobs you can take on before you ever even buy a house to flip.
Wow.
But you kind of need to, make money to buy a house with, because the cheapest ones are, I think it's like 24,000. You start out with like 20,000. So you only have to do a couple to do your very first one, but you need money for furniture, for all the renovating paint and equipment and all that, all the stuff you're going to buy in the process. And then you just you go to the house, you clean it up, replace furniture, paint walls, floors, tile, panel, whatever you want to do, put in appliances. And then when you're ready, you put it on the market, and these NPCs, quote unquote, bid on it in this auction format. And you find out, okay, this is the highest person, the highest amount a person is willing to pay. You can either accept or reject, or if you've unlocked it, you can negotiate. Now, I don't do negotiation halfway. So when I was playing, my negotiation was, how high can I force this bar to go? Do they not like it? Okay, then I won't sell it to them. I didn't have that problem, though. On the one house I sold, I jacked it up, and the house was like, I want to say it was like, it cost me $40,000. Or no, sorry, it was the 24,000 house. It's the very first one you can start with. The person was going to pay me, I think, around $40,000. I said, I want to negotiate for the max. And that added another, I think it was $24,000 on. So I sold this $24,000 house for $60-something thousand.
Jesus.
So I was like, all right, I'm good. And then I left. And that's when I went on to playing other games.
I won the game. Fuck y'all.
Yeah, but there are like 15, 20 houses you can buy and flip. You start out, your house is garbage as well. So if you want to, instead of flipping a house, you can buy one of these other nice houses and move your office into it. So you're not working out of this, basically one room. Well, 2 rooms. You have a bathroom.
Yeah.
But everything else is one room.
How has she been enjoying it?
Oh, she played it so much that she ended up having things she's supposed to be doing, and she's like, "Oh, I didn't do anything at all today."
Boy, she went all the way in.
Yeah, I want to say she's flipped like 3 houses at this point. Didn't have as much success on the first one as I did, but the later ones,
right,
holding out, for the person that accepts the max negotiation. So it's a fun little game, and it was like $20, if that. So well worth it for the time that I put into it. I could always go back and play it some more, but I don't know if I will. There's so many other things to play right now.
No kidding.
I'm kind of getting into that. This game rush. All these games are coming out. Detroit Become Human comes out tomorrow. So I've already pre-ordered that because that game looked awesome at E3 last year. I was actually looking on Twitter, and I don't tweet very often. My last tweets were literally from E3 last year. And my very last tweet was Detroit Become Human looks pretty damn good. Yeah. That was my last tweet. So I'll be playing that tomorrow.
Giant Bomb has a quick look out right now for anybody listening to this episode that cares to check it out. I think it's about 45 minutes long. They're typical quick look fashion. And I think they go over like 1 or 2 missions. It gives you a good breadth of the graphics, the way the story is projected, the voice acting. It gives you, it's a typical quick look. And it seemed pretty interesting. I feel like it's already getting a lot of backlash before the game's even out. I don't know why. If I had to guess, I think it's because this is definitely it's a half game, half cinematic experience, and it's one of those games that leans further toward the cinematic part and less to the gaming part. And I think, ever since Heavy Rain came out, I think people are just being saturated with these types of games, and they're just like, oh, come on, we're tired of this. Because I didn't play many of those. I can't think of many that I played at all. And this game looks interesting to me. It looks fucking gorgeous for one, but it's got the whole Android. This is what Nier Automata should be. Everything I hear about Nier Automata is, it's going to make you question, what your moral standards are as far as androids and robots go. And I got what they were trying to do with that in Nier Automata, but you can see in this game, like, it is definitely a thing. There's prejudice against cybernetic people and robots. There's definitely a line drawn, and I'm hoping that the game pushes you to make you decide, critical choices like, okay, if this was a robot, how would you act? Does this matter to you? Do you put them in the same category, et cetera, et cetera? So I got a little bit of that from the quick look. We'll see. If I got the money, maybe I'll slam down some money and pick it up.
And right now there is a demo available. I haven't touched it, haven't looked at it, don't really care. I'm just going to jump into the game.
Yeah. So who knows?
And that's it for my week.
Sweet. I guess we can do a little bit of D&D talk for our rolling line.
That's true.
We did, it wasn't we definitely had a battle this time around. We had an encounter, so that was pretty cool. For those that are loosely following along in our podcast episodes of our adventure, we're still in the party's in the capital city, and we were going about our day doing some investigation and whatnot, and out of nowhere, this fucking rat guy showed up and literally picked up rats by their tails and flung them around and threw them at our face. And it was pretty wicked. They were readily dispatched, of course. The lead fucker tried to get away, which I think I'm going to have a sidebar with you about these fuckers that are just leaving the battlefield. That kind of bugged me a little bit. Not on your end, but just, I don't know if maybe that's like a D&D thing that's allowed, but like the guy just like got up and ran, and I was like, the fuck he did? Because if I saw that, I'm whipping my crossbow, I'd shoot him in the fucking leg or something. I don't want that guy to get away. I want to. And then I thought, half the people want to pick his pockets for money. I kind of want to know what's up with the guy. This guy, as far as I know, just kind of showed up out of nowhere. Like, what's up with this? You're in the middle of the Capitol and you just start throwing rats at people? You're man, what's going on with this?
Yeah. Who knows?
He got captured, and he's hopefully going to be interrogated, and maybe if they can't get answers, maybe we'll go. Who knows? But this was definitely like we were already on a path somewhere doing something, and then this was a little side path. And we'll see. We'll see.
Yep. We'll see what, and it all depends on what the group does, whether or not it becomes relevant or you even learn, anything else about it.
Right.
So,
how do you feel it went as far as, the party doing the battle and everything? You think everything went pretty good? Was it what you were expecting, or?
So, I'm still having issues, obviously, with battle balance because I didn't factor in you guys using the guards as damage sponges, essentially. The NPC, so the battle started off kind of off screen, with some guards trying to help defend the area. And the guard captain immediately gets taken down, and then the other guards are, fighting off their rats and stuff. One of them went down twice. Another one went down once. And I think like 2 party members got hit once each, because all of the damage ended up spread out over NPCs or missed attacks on the PCs.
Yep. To the point where one NPC got knocked down, twice? 3 times?
Yeah, it was.
Oh, man.
And it was all because, it's one of those things where if you have, if you're going one-on-one with someone else walks up, you're not just going to suddenly disengage and go to fight someone else. You're going to focus on your target until either the other person's a threat or the person in front of you down. I was like, okay, take the guard down. Now they'll be able to go over on their next turn. But they were revived beforehand. Now, thinking about just now, I probably should have done the move action after the attack to get, that distance. Lesson learned on my end. I'll make sure I remember that next time. But yeah, so I definitely need to, if there's going to be NPCs present, need to ramp up the difficulty. If the NPCs hadn't been there, that would have been a very difficult fight. I actually added to it because the NPCs were there. I just didn't add enough, apparently.
But yeah, it was definitely interesting. Again, it was a night that was kind of going along in an investigation mode, and then slam fight.
Yeah,
so, cool.
Yeah, and I really liked that the group didn't just jump into, we're going to go in and murder everything. It was like, all right, I'm going over here. I'm specifically trying to help civilians out of the area.
Right.
Excellent.
Right.
That's much more realistic.
I just looked at my HP and went, "Yep." I mean, I'm pretty much a fucking tank, so I might as well just do it. Fuck it, whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. I feel like I say that every time we talk about D&D on this podcast, but it is. It's going to be interesting to find out because, again, we were already on a path. We have this mission already where we're trying to, one of our party members' father, he basically got strong-armed by some bandit who apparently worked for this lady, and we're trying to find out what's up with her. If she's working for somebody, if somebody's working for her, if we can strike a deal or have her stop or whatever. And in the path of doing that, we had this fucking guy again in the capital city just pop up and go, "Hey, I control rats. I'm gonna fuck some shit up." And I was like, I want to know what's up with this guy. I want to know how he's able to do this. What's his deal?
Yep. A were-rat.
Exactly. Where at?
And one thing I will say about him getting up and running off, it was entirely because I rolled a natural 20 on his death saving throw.
Okay. Yeah, see, that I kind of figured it had to have been something. Because, I mean, for a character to get up, that's an action, and then to run, and then I'm thinking, man, there's 6 of us here. If even 2 of us saw him, we're not going to be just, hey, the fucker's leaving. Oh, well, peace. But yeah, you roll on that 20, you got stealth on him.
Yeah,
you're gone.
I didn't expect him to actually get away. I didn't think there was enough stuff alive still for that. If other things had been alive, he probably would have had a better chance. But in that situation, I mean, it was worth a shot. I figured he'd try, probably not work. And depending on how much damage, I don't think it was technically possible for anyone there to do enough damage to insta-kill him. So he just went unconscious again. Because it's one of those things in D&D, typically your enemies, they're just dead. Whereas players make their saving throws. So anytime I have a, leader type character, I will typically have them do saving throws. Determine whether or not they're actually going to straight up die, or if, that also gives the party time to decide if they want to keep them alive or not. as opposed to just murdering everything.
That was something I thought about. I thought maybe I just misheard something or I missed something, but I could have sworn that guy was down, like dead or out. And then you were like, he gets up, and I was like, wait, what?
Yeah, he was unconscious.
How did he get up? How the fuck did he get up? Oh, maybe there could be some magic reason why. You know, maybe he's being controlled by somebody that's like, no, you're not down. Get up. But who knows? I was just like, he got up. He was dead, or down, or knocked, or unconscious, or whatever. So
yeah, that's why I try to choose my words specifically, like I do, because I was like, yep, he falls to the ground, unconscious, not dead, but he's been brought to zero just like a player would.
Yep.
Yeah, it's been fun trying to plan things because I think I'm currently juggling 3 different story plot lines at once. Really, only 2 main ones. One that's off on the side. But it's fun trying to decide, where they're going to intersect, what is actually related to the other, what's a coincidence. All these things will be, fun to watch the party unravel. Yep.
So yeah, that's the D&D thing that went down this week. My week, I'm going to get to the movies first. So immediately after the last episode, I want to say the following night, my wife and I went and saw Avengers Infinity War again. This is important for me, and I want to express the importance of this to the audience because you don't know me. And even though I geek the absolute fuck out about certain movies, even though I will talk for hours on end about certain movies, for whatever reason, and it's not even like a money thing. I don't really know why, because when I'm here at the house, I'll watch movies repeatedly. There's several movies in my time that I've watched many, many times. Typically, when I watch a movie in the theater, I usually only watch it one time. I don't know why that is. I don't know if it's just like I like preserving the theater experience like that one time, or if I'm just lazy. I don't want to go out to go see the movie again, or I don't want to spend the money to go see the movie again. Not because I'm poor, just because I don't want. I don't know, but I honestly can't think of how many movies in my life I've went to the theater and seen twice. This may be, and I'm not joking, dude. This may be like the 5th movie I've ever seen twice in the theater. Mm-hmm. And honestly, Chris, I think that's actually stretching it. This may be like the 3rd movie. Like it is that rare. Again, for me as a person who will watch movies repeatedly to the point where I can almost quote them, I just rarely see movies twice in the theater. But we went to see this one again, and I had just the same amount of experience as I did the first time. Like, I already knew all the plot points. I knew what was going to happen. I knew all the spoilers. I knew everything about the movie, but I still had a fucking great time. Again, I will say, just for safety's sake, spoilers for Avengers Infinity War, but I'm not going to talk for 20 minutes, and I'm not going to spoil everything. But that moment that I mentioned last time, Chris, where Thanos was on Titan and he'd already got most of the stones, and he reaches his hand up in the air and he blasts the moon apart and pulls the moon down. I was like, God, that is still fucking awesome. That is still fucking cool as shit to see, and I've already seen it. I already know it's coming. I still enjoy that movie all the way through. I was still like, fucking yeah, like in my mind, and my heart was racing, still cheering things on. Such an experience. Such a great movie all the way through. I got to pay a little closer attention to details, but I didn't see like a shit ton that I missed the first time. It was more like, oh, okay, well that's the answer to that question, or oh, I didn't notice that thing in the background. But I had a good time. Had a really good time. The following night, we went to go see Deadpool 2. Chris, have you seen Deadpool 2 yet?
Nope.
Okay, no problem, because I'm definitely not going to spoil it. So when my wife and I left this theater, the first thing I asked right off the bat, usually we ask each other the same thing every time, is like, did you like it? She said, I liked it. I'm pretty sure I liked the first one more, but I think that was more just because that was like, the first one was out of the blue. like out of nowhere. Like she wasn't expecting the first one to be as good as what it was. And I think that echoes for many people. You know, comic book aficionados, MCU aficionados, general populace, all the above. I think people went to see this Deadpool movie, the first one, and left going, wow, that was nothing what I was expecting. That was really good. That was funny and entertaining, and the gore and the jokes and the R rating taken seriously. I like it. That's what you get when you watch Deadpool 2. It's not really more. It's not really less. It's I was so on the fence about how I felt about this, and I'm going to quote the two best friends on this. I'm gonna quote Wooly on this. This was something he said, and it just put my mind at rest, because I think it's one of those things where, like, I was trying to figure out what the fuck I was feeling about this movie, and then somebody said it, and I'm like, that's what it is. Deadpool 2 is not a great movie. Deadpool, and I'm paraphrasing, but Deadpool 2 is not the best movie of 2018. Deadpool 2 is not a 5 out of 5 movie, and it's not trying to be. Deadpool 2 is trying to be a Deadpool movie, and that's what you get. And it succeeds in that avenue. So you are going to be in one hell of a pickle if you go see Avengers Infinity War, and then a week or two later you go see Deadpool 2, because you are seeing the top tier pinnacle fucking 5 out of 5 platinum, holy shit, 96.2% rating on Rotten Tomatoes, awesome Avengers Infinity War blockbuster summer hit movie, and then you go see Deadpool. Like, you don't expect to get that same thing, and that movie is not trying to be that. Deadpool 2 is not trying to be the best thing in the world. What it's trying to be is, did you like Deadpool? Here's more of that shit for you. Here's his humor, here's the jokes, here's callbacks, here's some stuff that you didn't even see in the theater, here's some extra shit that you have no idea is coming, here's more of his story, here's more of Deadpool. And it succeeded in that avenue. I honestly would have to watch them both back to back to really decide if I like one more than the other. But again, given what Deadpool is, there's really no need to rank these two. They're both awesome movies in their own rights. They're both fucking hilarious. You will, of course, not have that shock factor in Deadpool 2 if you've seen Deadpool 1, and that's totally fine. It's not out to try to shock anybody anymore. Deadpool 2 happened. They know what Deadpool is, and they're assuming that you know what Deadpool is, so you're just going to get more of that. Little side note, something that I thought was very odd, and I completely forgot about this until the first trailer in Deadpool 2 started playing. A lot of fucking kids in the theater with Deadpool 2. Really kind of, I didn't even realize it, again, until the first trailer. The first trailer in this movie was some puppet movie that was R-rated and blatant and vulgar and sexual and all this shit. And I think the first sentence in that trailer was like laced with fucking or cussing or some shit. And I looked around and went, oh, there are a lot of kids in this theater. What the fuck? Did people just forget from the first movie? Because remember, Chris, that was a thing. Like, I think Deadpool 1 even had like a teaser before the movie, like, hey, this is an R-rated film, so this is not for kids. And I remember there being a big fucking thing all over Facebook and social media. Is like, yeah, just warning, do not bring your children to Deadpool. This is not a superhero movie. And Deadpool 2 comes along, and if there were 50 people in that theater, or 100 people in that theater, like 30 of them were kids. Like kids. Talking, understand language. Holy shit, there's puppets acting. There's a fucking puppet coming all over the screen, but there's kids in the theater. I'm like, man, you guys, y'all are in for it.
Yeah, I don't get that. I don't know what it is, but that wasn't a thing, before. And it seems like lately that's something that's okay to do now. Ratings haven't changed. They still have pretty much the same standards as far as I can tell. What was Infinity War rated? It was PG-13, right?
I want to say it was PG-13. I think it had one fuck in it because I think they're allowed to have one fuck.
Yeah.
But I don't remember where it was.
But there was that one, something at the very beginning of it, and I can't remember offhand what it was, but I was like, yeah, I'm glad I'm not watching this with the kids.
Yeah.
Because even though, as a whole, not terrible, there were definitely moments, especially at the very beginning, where I was like,
Yeah. I'll throw one out really quick. Fucking 15-second spoiler warning for Avengers Infinity War. Just literally 15 seconds. Yeah, Chris, at the beginning, when they killed Loki, when he killed him in his hand by snapping his neck, and you heard the crunch of his neck, and his fucking face turned white and his skin turned all veiny, I was like, oh, yeah, this is not for kids. That's bad. It wasn't like I'm going to turn the screen away and it happens. It was there. You saw him do it. I'm like, oh. That is times 20 in Deadpool, as it's obviously going to be. I mean, but whatever. They weren't my kids, not my responsibility. It's just, again, I was cringed at the first trailer that played at the beginning of Deadpool 2. Because it was a realization that, even in the trailers, these trailers are R-rated, and they just don't give a fuck. And I'm looking around seeing all these kids, and I'm listening to all the jokes and all the shit being said in this trailer before the movie even starts, and it's just, oh. But anyway, we went and saw Deadpool 2, enjoyed it, good movie, go check it out. If you haven't, you and the audience, there is shit in that movie that is not even vaguely remotely hinted at in the trailer. So if you're looking for extra content, you're definitely going to get it. You're going to be pleasantly surprised too, and quite possibly, arguably, one of the best mid-credits scenes probably ever, if not, and just flat out in a long time.
I heard that.
I will tell you, Chris, there is a mid-credit scene, and then there's a longer mid-credit scenes. There is no post-credit scene. You know what I mean?
Okay.
When the actual credits are done all the way, there is nothing else after that. I will tell you that right now, because we did wait in the theater for that. You do get basically 2 mid-credits, though.
Gotcha.
So, games. Oh, boy. So I don't know why. There was no negative reason why. I guess it's still the fact that I'm still in this weird fucking turmoil thing. Again, this lasts for weeks, if not months. I did start several games last episode that I told everybody about, and I have stopped playing most of them and have started playing other games. I did start up God of War again. Last episode, I played through it for a little while, and I have put that game down. But there's nothing negative about that. It's not that I'm bored with it. It's just I just don't feel like playing that right now. And again, that's okay with God of War. I'm gonna say this, Chris, that this is how the high pedestal that I'm putting God of War on. I played that game from start to finish. I did everything that I wanted to do, and anything that I left, it's stuff that I just didn't care about. It wasn't like a huge deal for me to get through. Like the extra Valkyries, I didn't do the rest of the birds. Like there is content past the game that I just didn't do. But the package that I got from the start of that game to the end, and I mean the true end with the basically hidden last scene of that game.
Yeah.
I'm so fucking incredibly comfortable if I never play that game again. That sounds so weird for me to say that, because just like movies, I as well will have been known to and do and have played different games multiple times for whatever reason, and it's not at all a negative reason. I just don't feel like playing God of War right now. On the flip side of that coin, I'm totally fucking cool with that. You know why? That game was fucking awesome. I got my money's worth definitely out of that game. I got my enjoyment out of that game. It's almost the equation of watching a movie. Like that, I got my experience from God of War. So whether I go back to it, a month from now, 2 years from now, 10 years, or never at all, it's quite okay. Because that game is that fucking good, and I got my God of War out of that game.
That's such a good way to put it too. It's an experience.
Yeah, it is. So I stopped playing that. Again, it's nothing negative. I was like, yeah, you know what? I just don't feel like going through it again right now. I started playing Odin Sphere Leftreiser. I'm pretty sure I'm mispronouncing that, and I know there's an official one. I just didn't look it up. I realized right this minute I should have, but whatever. It's the PS4 remake of the PS2 Odin Sphere game. I made it all the way through the first entire mission, and I've stopped playing that. Again, there's no negative reason. I know that I need to finish that game in its entirety. I just said, yeah, okay, I'm just not feeling this. Again, this is that turmoil that I get in when I finish really good games or long games. I don't know what the fuck I feel like I'm in the mood for. When I think I'm in the mood for something, I'll try it, and if it doesn't suit me, I'll just stop playing it. Not every game that I stop playing is out of just, this is bad. Especially if it's a game I've already played or have already beaten. I believe that's it for the PlayStation games. I have not tried Mighty Number 9. I have not tried that one again. I don't know if I ever will. Definitely kudos to Chris for letting me know that game was free. Because I had honestly said at some point I would probably just buy that game out of sheer principle just to play through it and get my take on it. You can check out our last episode or even the episode before that where I've already picked it up a few times and tried my damnedest to get something out of it, and it's just it's like sorry not sorry actually. I mean it's just not for me. I see the spirit of Mega Man in there, but I don't like the way that game is done. You know, I don't like the way that game is like Mega Man. You know, it's not a Mega Man game. It tries to be. It has the spirit of it there, but it's like having a fucking standard truck and you're fucking up first gear trying to go forward. Like you know it should go, but it just won't. It's just herky jerky and whatever. So, no PlayStation 3 games. I think the last one I talked about was 3D Dot Game Heroes. Set my piece on that. Probably not going to go back to that one. Steam games. So I'm still working on, at a much slower pace now, doing the Sonic Mania. I have 3 more emeralds to go, and that's it. Little pro tip for you or anybody else that's playing that game. If you didn't get all the emeralds on your first playthrough, that's okay. Don't feel bad. Neither did I. I'm not some fucking pro gamer, so don't expect it from me anyway. But if you go to Chemical Zone World 1, you can get to the special stage within like 40 seconds every single time. There's a path you can take. Basically, you go to the right, you drop down where you need to drop down, and there's going to be a 4-way. At the 4-way, take a left and follow it all the way to the right, and you will always get... It's basically the quickest way for you to farm the emeralds, so to speak. For those that don't know, in Sonic Mania, the way that you get the emeralds in this game is you do... the graphics kind of look like pseudo Sonic Racer, Sonic R, and you have to follow this... You basically have to chase this flying robot around that has the emerald in its clutches. You gain rings... You collect rings to increase your time being in the zone, and you pick up these blue spheres to increase your speed. The idea is staying in this world long enough and then getting fast enough to catch up to it. I've gotten 4 of them. I've got 3 more to go, and this fifth one, is just kicking my fucking ass. And I keep trying, and I keep dying. I get close. And I mean, it is what it is. I just haven't got it. But it's now gotten to where in between games I'll go back to it. You know, I'm not like strictly farming it. I'd like to get those 3 because I'd like to try to get more things in Sonic Mania. I want to put more time into that game. Mega Man 9, still playing through that. I have officially beat all 8 Robot Masters. Woohoo! Which means now I'm now in the Wily area. I should have known this because this is how it's always been. Well, it's definitely how the old school Mega Man games were. So I made it past the first Wily area into the second one. I was dying. I felt like I was done for the night, so I saved and then quit the game, and then went back to play the next day and realized it starts you all the way back at the beginning of the Wily area.
No, man.
Which is understandable. I mean, I should know that. That's how it's always done. I just kind of expected it to not be, since they had a save feature and all that stuff. So, it also uses save states, which I didn't realize until way later. But it's not actually a save state; it's more like a checkpoint save state, which still is that's a blessing from the gods to be able to respawn at a checkpoint, and that's something that I would argue for people that have their sayings about it. Use that. I mean, I do. I'll tell you right now, I use checkpoint save like a motherfucker because I have come from the age of playing Mega Man 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, where I didn't have checkpoint saves. I had a password, and that's it. So I'm making my way through Mega Man 9. I'll beat it eventually. I'm happily just breezing through it. I'm not trying to beat it in a day. I'm not trying. It's also kind of becoming an in between, picking up when I feel like it. I feel like there were a couple other Steam games that I also picked up and put down. I think I played Slain a little bit more, which is a side-scrolling slash-em-up style game. Very little bit. I mean, literally picked it up for maybe half an hour to an hour and put it down. But the one that I just started playing again because I've had an itch. I've had an itch to play a few games, a few older games. I've been meaning to go back through the entirety of the Wild Arms series, and I say that because I've only ever played through and beat Wild Arms 1. There are, 5 of those?
Yeah,
6 of those?
I have 1 on PlayStation and 4 on 360.
Yeah.
Or what? It might have been
Something.
PS3. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. There are... I knew this in my teenage years that there were sequels to those games. I just didn't realize it until like the second or third. I forget. It was kind of a surprise to me when I found out that Wild Arms had sequels and had so many. I'm on the fence of whether I want to go back through Wild Arms 1 or not, because if I remember, what I remember of Wild Arms 1 is the story. The gameplay was good. There's a lot of puzzle elements in Wild Arms, but the story kind of went off the rails like 2/3 of the way through. Definitely got kind of weird, alien-y. I don't remember, honestly, 'cause I've only been through the game once. And I know nothing about the sequels. So I'm debating whether I want to go all the way through Wild Arms 1 again or just start at 2. That's a decision for me to make for another day. Somebody somewhere, maybe it was Giant Bomb, maybe it was Two Best Friends, hell, maybe it been Easy Allies, I don't remember. Somebody said that they were going through the Sly Cooper games. And I was like, oh, shit, yeah, because I've only ever played through the first Sly Cooper. And I think I've played through 2 for a few hours, but I never finished it. And I've not played the third one either. I remember Sly Cooper. I liked Sly Cooper 1. Very, very good platformer game. So it was another one another series that I wanted to get back into. Oh, before I forget, there was a PlayStation 4 game that I worked on as well. I went back and started the Uncharted series again.
Nice.
I have, now this is going to be kind of bad, and we're going to see what the future holds for me, but I have the remastered collection on PlayStation 4, which is Uncharted 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah, that's what I have.
I have Uncharted 4 by itself, and I have Uncharted Lost World, or Lost Legacy by itself as well. So I have 5 of these Uncharted games. I had played Uncharted 1 before. Apparently I made it through about maybe 3-4 hours of that game, and something came along and stopped me from playing it. I want to say maybe in Breath of the Wild. Maybe it was Persona 5. I don't remember. But I started that this week. I started all the way back through, started the game brand new, started with 1. I beat 1 within a few days, like maybe 2 or 3 days. And again, I'm not bragging when I say that. I'm just saying that I played it diligently, and that's how short it was for me. It was pretty good. Story was pretty good. Gameplay was pretty good. I mean, for as old as the game it was, it was all right. And then I started to play the second one, and it was kind of more the same. Definitely has some more cutscenes. You can definitely see that more money was put into this game. You can see the upscale, the uptick in graphics and story content, voice acting, all this. Very few additions to the combat here and there. Like you could pick up a shield. That's pretty cool. A few extra weapons, a little bit more variety in the weapons, but it's, you know, set piece combat, story, set piece. I'm not really feeling it. And I asked around just to get some, you know, some popular opinions. Like, hey, of all 5 of these I keep wanting to say Lost Legacy. Of all 5 of these Uncharted games, what one is the best one? Like, what is the creme de la creme? And most people are telling me it's pretty much the second one. Like the second one, it's kind of got the Assassin's Creed thing where you know the second one is the best of the best. Kind of disheartening to hear that because I've only played about 3 or 4 hours of the second one, and it's not that I'm not feeling it. It's like there's no hook in this yet for me. Like there's no like, oh shit, I'm in this series now. It's more like, okay, I've done all this. I did most of this in the first one. Some questions have come to mind, like I remember there being a love interest kind of setting up in the first one, and I haven't seen that yet in the second one. I think I did see her pop back up, and that was pretty cool to see her and this new girl interact, but I don't know, man. It's not horrible. It's not a bad game at all, especially, again, giving the remastered. I have found some bugs here and there, little glitchiness in the combat here and there, but I stopped playing it. And again, it also is not bad. I didn't drop it because it's just piece of shit. It's just more not interested. You know, I was hoping to get more. And it's kind of a sad tale, especially since I bought 5 of these fucking games. I kind of do feel like I kind of owe it to myself to continue playing through them. Yeah. But I'm not the type to just play a game just because I bought it, and I'm definitely not the type to force myself through a game unless I know a reason. Like, I hate to bring it up again, but Dark Souls is a reason. You know, I almost wanted to stop playing that game, and people said, no. Just I'm not going to tell you how you're going to get it, but keep at it. You will get it. And holy shit, I got it. I feel like I've already got what I need to get out of this game. There's no Uncharted 2. There's no like extra combat shit for me to figure out because it's the same combat basically. So picked it up, put it down. I'm done with that for a good while.
Okay.
I'm trying to think of some other games. I was trying to make a list, and I have lost that list of the games where I want to go back to this. Want to pick this back up. Definitely Sly Cooper came to mind, and Wild Arms again out of nowhere. The game that I did start playing, actually as of yesterday, that probably going to go all the way through with this one because it's feeling pretty good. I started playing Final Fantasy VII again. I picked this up on Steam, man, months and months and months ago, just because I wanted to have it on another platform. I've never played the PC version, so just interesting to see what it was like. Kind of had some roadblocks initially because... All right, so I have an issue that I have never sat down. I have yet to sit down and actually thoroughly troubleshoot and or get a workaround for. The way that my system is set up, the way that my gaming battle station, as gamers like to call it, is set up is that I have 2 large TVs. I have a 55 and a 60-inch TV. They're both HD TVs. I have my computer running through my 60-inch HD TV. So the resolution on this monitor, on this TV, is like 3,500 by 2,700 something. Some weird large number of a resolution. Yeah. Most of my programs, most of my apps, Firefox, Audacity, Steam itself, most of my programs, the resolution is fine. The screen size is fine. It's adequate. Some programs and also some games and UIs are incredibly fucking tiny. because they're rendering on such a big screen but on such a small size.
Yeah.
And it's fucking aggravating because I'm not going to go into my resolution settings and drop the resolution just so I can see something and then blow it back up for several reasons. One, most importantly, is when you do that, it's going to fuck up so many settings that you got to go back and retweak again. You're going to have to retweak other apps, and I'm not doing all that bullshit. So I had an itch to start playing Final Fantasy VII, so I did. I pulled up Steam, double-clicked Final Fantasy, installed it, took like 2 minutes, click play, and the UI that pops up first, it was so fucking tiny. Like, everything is squished and compact together, and I tried to go to settings and change the screen resolution. That didn't do any good because all that does is change the resolution of the game when the game actually launches. So I had to go back and forth trying to change the game's resolution and then starting the game and realizing the screen was too big still, or the window was too big, closing the game back out, opening the UI again, changing this back and forth. Once I finally got, and this sounds so fucking lazy, but this is also me getting out of my chair and going up to the screen and squinting to try to read what the UI is saying, because again, everything is small, squished, and crammed. So once I got the game screen and the game graphics and all that shit set where I wanted to, I started the game and was immediate roadblock again because I'm playing with a controller, my Xbox One controller, and the fucking thing wouldn't let me do it. I found a workaround. So actually, this was day before yesterday I started this. I got fed up and I said, fuck it, I'm not dealing with this. I'm going to be a whiny little fucking baby and quit. Fuck it, I'm not doing it. And then yesterday I was like, fuck that, I'm not going to fucking quit. I'm not about to be beat over a screen UI or a controller issue, because if I want to play this fucking game bad enough, I'll pop out XPad or something, or X input, whatever, and I'll do it. Like, it's no big deal. So I looked up a workaround. I looked up just like a troubleshooting issue. Found a fucking YouTube video, all of 1 minute long. The fix for this shit is when you start Final Fantasy VII through Steam, the first screen that pops up is your controller layout or your button layout. All you have to do is press the OK button on your keyboard, which for me was the X key. Once you press that, then the actual game starts, and you can control it with your controller like no big deal. I was like, "Are you fucking kidding me? I had to press just one key on my actual keyboard to get the game going. Whatever, it works just fine." So I'm going through Final Fantasy VII now. I've not too far at all. I haven't put like 20 hours in this shit yet. I think I'm literally at Aerith's adopted mother's house. That's how early this is for me. I will be playing around with like maybe cheat engine and shit and fucking around with numbers and levels and whatnot, because God, I think I beat Final Fantasy VII like 15 times in my life. So
I mean, the game itself, the launcher has options you can pick, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it does. And so I'll just be fucking around with that shit. I'm not trying to do anything. I'm not trying to break any records or fucking beat this game at level 20. No stupid shit. I really just want to go through Final Fantasy again and relive some of those old school memories. I kind of, sort of, maybe had an itch to as well go through 8 and 9, but I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to do that. I haven't played 8 since I was in high school, so that was well over 2 decades ago. And yeah, I don't know. I also remember 9 having kind of having an off experience with 9. So I don't know. I'm definitely not putting a staple in that. I may or may not play 8 or 9 after, or I might do Sly Cooper or whatever else I decide to play. The fact that I have settled down with a game right now is a fucking miracle. Because again, I'm in a fucking turmoil, man. I'm either gonna work on 10 games at one time, or I'm gonna plow through one, and it is what it is. It's just it's something I've just dealt with for a long time. And I've actually researched this too. I've looked into it as well for other people, and the consensus I found out is that this is an experience that a lot of people, this is a phenomenon that a lot of people experience through many types of media. People that go through like a long book and read a really engrossing, entertaining, awesome book. When they're finished with it, they're like, well, now I feel it's not empty. That's a kind of a bad way to say it, but that's kind of how you feel.
Mm-hmm.
You're kind of lost, so to speak. Movies as well. You know, people will watch a really like. I would imagine for somebody that watches the entirety of, say, like the Harry Potter, whatever the 7 trilogy word is. If you're
the
really
franchise.
right, if you are really, really into Harry Potter and you didn't watch any of them, but then you watched them all in a row and got all that Harry Potter experience, when you're done, I could see how it's like, oh, well, fuck, what do I do now? You know, I've had 3 of these, though these are definitely not the only time this has happened, but for the audience that's been following along on my adventures, you have to think, man, I've played through Breath of the Wild, Persona 5, and now God of War. That is 3 titanic, awesome 5 out of 5 games back to back to back. And after every one of those, I'm like, oh, I don't know what I want to play. I don't even know what I want to play. Like, I'll try to play something and it just don't fit. I'll try to play something else and it's just not good. Or I'll play something else and I was like, I just don't feel like playing this right now.
Mm-hmm.
I can't even tell you what synapses in my brain popped off to make me want to play Final Fantasy VII again. But it did, and I'm doing it, so it is what it is.
Yeah,
we'll see what happens. Go ahead.
I've actually been debating on picking it up and actually getting back into the speedrunning side of it.
Yeah. I mean, we talked about last episode about old Final Fantasies, and I had mentioned, if you remember, that I wanted to go back to Final Fantasy V again just because.
Mm-hmm.
Because I've only played that game once, and I don't remember a damn thing about it. You know, it'd be nice to go back through it at this age and be like, oh, yeah, this is what was off, or what I shouldn't remember, or, oh, I didn't even remember this really cool part. But yeah. Final Fantasy VII swept in first. Sorry.
Yeah, I watched a 100% speed run of Final Fantasy VII.
Oh, wow.
Yesterday and today. It's a 22-hour run. Yeah. So that.
But see, when you say that to me, though, I'm like, yeah, good. Mm-hmm. I like that. Let's see. I'll edit that out. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Let me make a note of that real quick. 132.27. I can't think of anything else.
I got a question for you.
Okay.
Are you going to play Dark Souls Remastered? Comes out tomorrow. Well, technically today because someone screwed up on the start date of being when it's available on Steam, but it's supposed to come out tomorrow.
I gotta tell you.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I will. If I have Dark Souls Remastered in a mental category right now of that may be a game I buy years from now just to have another game in my Switch library. I may buy that game just to add to the library. I don't have a drive to play that right now.
Okay.
Because I've played Dark Souls. I've gone through Dark Souls at least 4 times on the Xbox 360, and I've gone through it probably another 4 or 5 times on PC. PC being the additional one where I had mods attached to it and have done all kind of crazy shit in that game now. So I believe the additions to the Dark Souls remaster is that it's supposed to be, the graphics are supposed to be better, and it's supposed to have a 60 frames per second frame rate, but that's not enough to draw me to that game. Like there has to be some extra content. Like if there was brand spanking new extra DLC, maybe. If there were more weapons, more armor, something, maybe. But man, I've put a lot of time into Dark Souls, a lot. And I feel like if I wanted to play it again right now, I would probably go back to my PC and pick up my new game plus 6 or something, you know?
Yeah.
For those that have never played Dark Souls or have only played it once or twice or are just interested in playing it for the Switch, fucking go for it. That's Dark Souls. That's Dark Souls portable. That's Dark Souls on the go. It's supposedly a better version. So kudos to you. Pick it up, try it out, get into that world. That is a series that needs to be felt and experienced. So go for it. But for me, that's like, I've fucking done my time, lots of time, and have got my thoroughness out of that game. Nah, don't really feel like it. Interesting point you're bringing that up too, because this kind of leads to why I said I wanted to buy it just to have it to the library. I'm still not seeing a shit ton of games on the Switch that I'm looking for.
Yeah.
I know Easy Allies did on Friend Code this week. Michael Damiani was making a big thing about the Star Fox Racing game coming out, and they did bring up an interesting point that I kind of echo too. You know, I remember a long time ago that this is pretty much directly from them, but it's just something I want to echo. When and I was on this bandwagon too. I have no problem admitting it, man. When Metroid Prime was announced and Metroid Prime was talked about before it came out, there was a big to-do about it being a first-person shooter, basically. You know, this traditional side-scrolling Metroidvania game was now going to a first-person perspective with all these 3D graphics. Mm-hmm. And I'm telling you, I remember it being a big fucking deal. And I remember me being one of those people going, yeah, I don't know about that. Like, not only looks, I don't know how they're going to do it, but mechanics, like how are you going to do a space jump with that? How are you going to do, you know, a hook shot? Like, how are you going to do all these things? And holy shit, was I fucking wrong. They took that game and, well, okay, they didn't necessarily take the genre. The genre was pretty much the same. They just took the perspective and made it different. But in any event, and this is not the first time where a game has come out that you know of a game being one genre and they swap the genres, and maybe it'll be good. I don't know what this Star Fox Racing game is supposed to be, but who knows. My argument against this game is not the fact that it is a racing game. That's not strictly my issue. If it's good, it's good. If Nintendo puts its fucking Nintendo magic touch on this game and then make it fucking awesome, you know, like the Rabbids game that nobody thought was going to be good and people love, then bravo, Nintendo, you did it again. Awesome. My issue with this game is if I got woke up one morning by Chris just blowing my fucking Facebook Messenger up. It's ding, 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 ding. And I'm like, oh, shit, what's going on? Mm-hmm. Dude, you got to get on Nintendo Direct right now. You got to do it. It's Star Fox, Nintendo Direct right now. And I'm like, oh, fuck, yes. This is what I've been waiting for, yes. And I turn on Nintendo Direct, and it's fucking Star Fox Racer. That's what pisses me off. We've had Star Fox 1, mm-hmm. Okay, which is good. As a starting point, was a damn good way to get as a starting point for, okay, this is what Star Fox is going to be like. Then you get Star Fox 64, which is the pinnacle for me, in my opinion. And it's more Star Fox, but better. You got 3D combat. You've got more options, more weapons, more story shit involved, and voice acting for people that don't like it. Fuck you. I liked it just fine. Star Fox 64 had a life all to itself, and it's aerial combat for 80% of the game, and you got 10% tank combat, but it's the same fucking kind of combat. And you got submarine combat, but it's the same fucking thing. And you're like, yes, this is Star Fox. And then the next game, not the same. The next game, not the same. The next game, some of the same, but not really the same. And then another game, not the same. And you're like, can somebody please just give me fucking Star Fox? Mm-hmm. And then they shit out the Star Fox game for the Wii U that nobody likes. I'll admit I have it, and I'll play it to get my opinion, but nobody likes that game. And that is supposed to be, and all that game really is a remaster, so to speak, a redo of Star Fox 64. So you still have no new Star Fox game. Yeah. And then this shit gets announced, and you're like, finally, thank you, bring Star Fox back. Wait, it's a racing game. Can we, as a Nintendo fucking audience, as a Star Fox audience, can we please just get a fucking space combat Star Fox game back? Give us 20, 30, 40 fucking beautiful, gorgeously rendered, as much as the Switch can render them, aerial combat. Bring back some good combat with tanks. Bring back some submarines. I don't care how you do it. But stop giving me these games where Star Fox is on foot with a fucking rocket launcher. Stop giving me these games where I'm in an R-Wing for a little bit and then I'm out of the R-Wing doing some other shit. Stop giving me these pseudo fucking RPGs. Like, stop. And if you're gonna remake Star Fox 64, don't make it completely rely on a gimmick like having the fucking tilt control be a thing. Just give us a Star Fox combat game. That's what we want. You're not Metroid priming this Star Fox. You haven't done it yet. And if this does it, well, great. But damn, what Metroid was way different. We had Metroid, Metroid 2, Super Metroid, Metroid Prime. We didn't have fucking Metroid, the RPG tales in between. You know, we didn't have Metroid, the combat racer in between. Sorry, I had a tangent on that one, man. I had to. I just want people to understand, like, I did when Chris brought it up, and again, when I saw it in the news and features and social media, I did go, Star Fox Racer, But it wasn't because I want to bash Nintendo for trying something different. I know they pulled some shit out of their ass. It's more like, Racer, really?
Mm-hmm.
It's not what we want. It's not what we deserve. Hate to sound like a dick like that, but it is what it is. Any event, I think that'll pretty much wrap it up for my week. I guess we can roll right into today's topic.
Yep.
Which is, and I want to lay out a quick apology to you, Chris. I wanted to tell you that, and this is also for the audience as well. Today's topic, in a paraphrasing way, we're going to talk about games that are sequels that are better than their predecessors. But I want to throw some guidelines out here. One, and just kill me later if this kind of fucks the list up for you, but okay. These games do not have to be like this was the first game and this was the second game. So, like, if the series had 5 games, let's take Assassin's Creed. Mm-hmm. Assassin's Creed 4, Black Flag, we can both agree, was way fucking better than Assassin's Creed 1.
Yep.
So the list doesn't have to be Assassin's Creed 2 is the best because the first one was out. It can be any sequel in the franchise.
Yeah, that's what I'm off of too.
Okay, good. Also, this is a personal thing. Doesn't matter if you did it or not. It's totally okay. But I didn't pick games that are not technically direct sequels to the franchise.
Yeah.
Case in point, Final Fantasy.
Mm-hmm.
Final Fantasy 6 to me, pinnacle of the series. 10 out of 10, best, can't get any better. But it also has nothing to do with Final Fantasy 5.
Yep.
Has nothing to do with Final Fantasy 4, 3, 2, 1. It has they have some typical tropes in there, yes. But Super Mario Brothers 2 is a direct sequel, so to speak, to Super Mario Brothers 1. That's a sequel that we're talking about. So I basically didn't pick any Final Fantasies. I didn't pick any Dragon Quests. I didn't pick any ones that are like way the fuck off. I try to pick ones that were direct sequels and improvements on the direct lineage of the games. Don't really know how we can do this. If you want a number, Chris, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I've got close to 15-ish games here. So what we can do is we can just start rattling them off, and if we have the same game, we can both talk about them. either way, we got plenty of time, plenty of games to talk about.
I've got the first one for you.
Okay, go right ahead.
I was going through making my list, and so I was getting pretty deep into it.
Mm-hmm.
I came to one, and it's pretty much all of them, or most of them. That's my overall summary to this.
Okay.
I think it's actually harder to find ones that aren't better. Because I started looking at just games I'd played, and I started doing more research into, okay, what do other people think? And I was like, yep, pretty much lining up. And then it's like, yeah, yep.
Before you start to, this is something else that I realized was a challenge. I was trying really hard to find some where the first game was bad and the second or third or fourth game, whatever, was like way good.
Mm-hmm.
I was trying my hardest to be like, man, I could not stand this game, but the sequel came out and it was great. Honestly, I couldn't find too many. Like, I found some where, like, the first game was okay, but not, like, garbage pail material.
Yeah.
I found that to be an interesting personal challenge on my end. So.
All right, so what's the first one you got?
So the first game on my list, Far Cry 3.
Okay.
This one, and I'm going to say this phrase for about 5 games on this list. This is technically cheating for me because I have not personally played Far Cry 2 and Far Cry 1. I have several friends that have. In particular, Adam was the one who even twigged me to Far Cry 3, period. Would not shut up about it. And I've heard from him and several other people that Far Cry 1 and 2, while not horrible games, are just nowhere near on the same league as Far Cry 3. And that's enough to go by for me. Far Cry 3 just blew my mind. It was an out-of-nowhere game for me. I had heard about it randomly through people now and again. I'd seen adverts, I'd seen trailers and stuff. But I wrote this game off, whatever. And then, holy shit, was this game so fucking good. So good. Just for the fucking villain alone. Not even getting to the other villains and the combat and the story and all that stuff. So, again, I know that's kind of cheating, kind of bullshit, but I've heard from way too many people that's like, yeah, you don't ever have to play Far Cry 1 or Far Cry 2. You could start with 3 and that's good. And that says a lot about a sequel to me. And that's kind of the heart and spirit of what this topic is today.
Now, question for you. Are they directly related?
Though that I don't know. That I don't know. I didn't get that far in the conversation with people.
Okay.
So that's okay. Let me go ahead and get all the bullshit was out of the way then. Good question. Let me get the bullshit cheating nonsense out of the way.
No, that's fine.
The second one on my list was Super Mario Brothers 3 / Super Mario World. These are not really interrelated because this kind of the same story for Super Mario Brother every fucking time.
Yeah.
And honestly, I stopped at Mario 3 and Mario World because I could go on. Because really, I mean, in certain ways, Sunshine is better than Mario World. I mean, you're on the GameCube now. Mario 64 is better than Mario World in some aspects. Galaxy is better. I mean, this series kind of progressively gets better, with the exception, in my opinion, of Mario Lost Odyssey. But I feel like when you play Mario 1 back in the day, you get that experience. You get Mario 2, okay, this is a little bit different, a little bit aesthetic changes here and there. Picking 4 characters, that's new. And then you get Super Mario Bros. 3. Holy shit, the lid got blown off. Like, this was such a different and better game.
Yeah.
But again, as you bring up as well, and as I said too, this is kind of cheating. It's not a direct sequel, but I think an argument can be made that it's pretty much a direct sequel in the series.
Yeah.
You know, you're getting more. Okay, when you play Final Fantasy VI, you play as Locke, Terra, Edgar, Sabin. None of those characters from Final Fantasy VII. When you played Mario, you got Mario, Toadstool, Peach. All those people are pretty much present, and the same thing in 3. So there's that. And I think that's it. I think those two are maybe my bullshit ones are out of the way. What about you, Chris? What's one for you?
Well, let's go with my possibly cheating ones. Here's one for you to tell me what you think, whether or not it could be considered cheating or not.
Okay.
I actually put Zelda: A Link to the Past on mine.
I think the same kind of argument comes to play, man. You've got when you play the first Zelda, the first Link game, you've got Link, you've got Zelda, you've got Ganon, you've got the Triforce, you've got the Master Sword, you've got the bombs, the hook. I mean, it's there. I mean, the heart and spirit of those games are entailed with each other.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah, I could go with that.
All right. Another one.
And yeah, what up? Oh, I mean, if we should talk about it just for a second.
Yeah.
Holy shit! Though we have gushed on completely about Link to the Past, man, what an upscale this game was.
Oh yeah.
And this is also another game where the further you go up, and definitely in many areas you are progressively getting better. You almost have to, so many Nintendo games, you almost have to find a stopping point for this kind of list, because you know there's always going to be that argument of what's better, Ocarina of Time, Link to the Past.
Yeah.
But when you in a linear fashion, when you go from the first Zelda. Then you go to Zelda 2, it's like, wait a minute, way change. Side-scrolling, high-low sword combat, overworld map, enemies that touch you, then you gotta, that's weird. And then you go to Link to the Past, it's like, I'm back to Zelda. I'm back to what I remember, and this is so much better. The graphics are so much better. The music is great. The story is bigger. The dungeons are, it's all better. That is definitely an upgrade. That is not saying in any way, shape, or form that the Legend of Zelda 1 is bad. And again, that's not the idea with this list. Is I really couldn't find many like that. But when you go from just the first Zelda to Link to the Past, holy shit, yeah. Awesome.
Yeah, I when I was reading, through the other articles, seeing other people's thoughts, that actual conversation came up. Well, okay, well, what about Ocarina of Time? They're like, well, for this, we're basically cutting it off at 3D.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that was that's why they put, A Link to the Past on their list, because cutting off at 3D, so it's not even a battle. They don't have to go through that trouble.
Yep. Can totally understand that.
And obviously not, piss off some fans either.
Uh-huh.
So the other one on my list that it's not going to be, this one's definitely a cheating one, is Grand Theft Auto 5.
Oh, wow.
Because it's not related to 4 or any of the other ones. But, man, did that game radically change over time.
Yeah. I mean, look at fucking just Grand Theft Auto 3 compared to 1 and 2. Whole different feel. The whole ante was upgraded, was thrown way up. And you think, even if you played 3 in Vice City, I'm sure you did, back in the day, holy shit, how big this game is. Yeah. How expansive that you may have been on the verge of this game can't get any bigger. Well, 4 came along and showed that wrong, but even if you thought 4 couldn't get any bigger and better, 5 comes along and just slams everything out of the park and is still going strong to this day with an online component.
Yeah. And just looking at the single player part of it, going from 1 character to 3 characters.
Yep.
That was a very unexpected twist, but it worked so well.
All 3 characters are treated with such respect. They all get a fair amount of time, and they all feel individualistic. They feel like they are taken seriously in all 3 of their own accords, and they all flow together seamlessly. Like you don't. This is something I thought about when I first played it. Was like, man, am I gonna feel really awkward? Like, okay, I like playing as Franklin. This is cool. But how awkward am I going to feel going to this fucking backwoods redneck crazy dude? And then I played and went, oh shit, this is actually very fucking cool.
Yeah, and then you get to Michael and it's like, this, I don't even know how old he is in the game, but this old, generic white dude.
Yep.
What's so special about him?
Yep, and then you play and you realize they all have their own thing, and it's not... you're not just playing as generic black guy. You're not just playing as generic redneck guy. You're not playing as just, 40-something year old washed up, generic white guy. They all have their own personality. They all have their own take on life. Yep. They all have their own place in the story, and they all feel unique. And then when they come together, they're not crammed together. They flow together. Like you feel like this is a movie script story almost that plays out naturally. Like, yeah, this shit could happen. Yeah. Another one on my list, Resident Evil 2. I remember playing Resident Evil 1 back in the day. I remember this was one of the first PlayStation games I ever played. It was this, Doom, Suikoden 1, and Resident Evil 1. Oh, and Twisted Metal 2. What a fucking weird amount of games to play for your first romp around. And this, of course, is excluding times I played with played the PlayStation that Andy had, because I think all I remember playing with him was I think Ballerina Toshinden and maybe that Destruction Derby game. I think that may have been it. But anyway, this is one of my first ever PlayStation games playing, and enjoyed it for what it was. I mean, even back in the day, this is another one. I think we brought this up in the past, Chris, but this is something that I have burned into my life for whatever reason. The Green Day album, I think it was Dookie, was out around this time, and I would play that on my stereo while playing this game. So all the tracks on that album I hear in my head when I play through Resident Evil 1 now. I remember, I can tell you what song was playing almost when I would go into certain areas of the map. Like it's that ingrained into me. Anyway, that aside, this isn't about Resident Evil 1. Resident Evil 2 comes along. Same premise when the game starts out. Pick between one or two characters. More fleshed out story. More involvement between the two characters. New inventory management. Slightly updated graphics. Better, more involved story. This game was so much better for me than the first one. And again, it's not saying the first one was bad. It's just in comparison. This is, I'm trying to, you brought it up as it's kind of the best way to put it. Like, I kind of wanted to stop. I wanted to cut these games off at certain points. And it's important to do that with Resident Evil, because Resident Evil 1, good game for me. Resident Evil 2, awesome game. Resident Evil 3, kind of floundering, kind of samey. It's like, okay, the Nemesis was pretty cool, I guess, but you're only playing as one character, not two. It was okay for what it was. Resident Evil 4 comes along now and blows everything out of the water. Starts the really good, well, it doesn't start, but kind of the only really good 3D Resident Evil out there, aside from Resident Evil 7. But if I'm strictly talking about the PlayStation era Resident Evil, the Resident Evil 2 was definitely the way better for me than the predecessor. Yeah,
I can agree with that.
Yeah. Another one for me. This is another cheating one. I guess I'm a liar today. Just Cause 2. I can also attribute this to Adam, because Adam wouldn't shut up about this game for days and days on end. And I think back in the day, either I had, this was around the time when I was either playing 4 or 5 was already out. I can't recall. I want to say it was back in the 4 era, because my biggest open world experience, my biggest just get in the game and fuck off, don't worry about the story or even side missions, just go have fun in the game, was Grand Theft Auto 4. And honestly, when I beat the main quest of Grand Theft Auto 4, I didn't really feel like playing the game much anymore. I didn't go back into it and, do 100%. I definitely did with Grand Theft Auto 3 and Vice City. So maybe that kind of got my fill of doing the whole checking every single box. I did everything in Grand Theft Auto 3 and Vice City. I even made players' guides and sold them to people in school. So when 4 came around, I went through it and had fun, and then kind of was done with it. And Adam's telling me all the time, like, no, man, you've got to play Just Cause 2 if you want an open world that's gonna the fucking scope and scale of this game's map is gonna blow your fucking mind. Mm-hmm. You can drive anything from a fucking scooter to a commercial plane, like a passenger carrier plane, and on and on. And then I played it and was like, holy fuck, this game is incredible. Just Cause 2. Let me check. Yep, it is still up on my top 15 wall of all time. It is still there. I want to say because Dark Souls beat a game out. I think Dark Souls actually beat Resident Evil 2.
Mm-hmm.
But this is cheating because I've never played Just Cause 1, and I've heard way worse about Just Cause 1 than Far Cry 1 and 2. I've heard that Just Cause 1 was not good at all. Like,
wow.
Nowhere even near the same game at all. Mm-hmm. So the idea that Just Cause 2 comes out and just blows everything out of the water, that's, even though I don't have the personal experience with it, I think that's awesome. And I can definitely attest to Just Cause 2 being, man, it's fucking incredible. It's almost scary how big that game is. Definitely has its flaws. The biggest flaw for me is that the story of Just Cause 2 is almost laughable. I mean, it's kind of hokey, kind of cheesy, and not really that long. But I 100% do not. I mean, it would be like someone saying they played Minecraft for the story. I mean, I played Just Cause 2 to get in that game for days and hours and weeks upon end, just fucking around, randomly going to blow shit up, randomly finding points on a map. This was my Breath of the Wild before Breath of the Wild. This was my see shit and go fuck off, and then get lost because I did 15 other things before I ever got to wherever I was looking at. So, yeah, definitely on my list.
All right.
About you?
I've got one more that is technically cheating.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of a put on the list because of what I played this week.
Mm-hmm.
But it's Tony Hawk's Underground.
Okay, that's fine.
So it was PlayStation 2, and it wasn't a huge, departure from the previous games. I believe 3 was where they left off before they went to Underground, and 3 is what I put the most time in. Underground, though, was overall, a much more solid game. The gameplay was pretty much as you would expect. The graphics were obviously better at that point. It was just a overall improvement on what was already a, awesome casual skateboarding game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I spent so much time playing Tony Hawk's. I kind of forgot about that because it's just one of those things we did. One of my friends would come over in particular, and we would sit there and we'd play co-op, or we just exchange controller every now and then, just trying to beat these objectives, in-game and ones we made up.
Yeah.
Just a fun, chill game.
I mean, don't feel bad about that, man. I mean, if you were to say, I didn't put it on my list, I kind of feel like it's kind of an obvious moot point by now. But, I mean, if either one of us had put, like, God of War on this list, we did just get through playing that. But that 1,000% deserves the right to be on this list. I mean, it is a sequel that blows all the predecessors out. There is no other God of War in existence that comes anywhere close to this title. So yeah, don't feel bad about it.
All right.
Next one on my list, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2.
Okay.
I think I'm trying to scroll through the list while I'm talking at the same time. I still got a couple more on here that I didn't play. I guess I'm just a fucking cheating asshole on my own list, whatever. But I definitely have played Modern Warfare 1. I think me and the group played Modern Warfare 1 before we played Modern Warfare 2. And, man, I don't know if this fucking game has a Nickelback appeal these days, if it's the fucking game that everybody likes to hate on and shit on, if it's the fucking cool thing to shit on Modern Warfare 2. And, Chris, I don't really give a fuck because I love Modern Warfare 2. I fucking love that game. The multiplayer, it is what it is. Everybody knows how I feel about it. It's nowhere. I mean, Battlefield just shits all and stomps all over Call of Duty. But the single player campaign of Modern Warfare 2 was so fucking good. As cheesy as people like to call it, as derivative as people like to call it, as predictable as people like to call it, I don't know, and I don't fucking care. I played Modern Warfare 2 without having anything spoiled, without knowing any of the story shit for the first time. And every set piece in that game, every story thing that come along, I was like, fuck yes, this is great. This is awesome. Busting Price out of prison. The twist toward the end of the game. This game just kept going through. It kept just pushing me through. And I felt like, definitely from a first-person shooter perspective as well, I got a very good cinematic experience from this thing. And while, in my opinion, the campaign of Modern Warfare 1, of course, was the first, and it was good. It's in its own right. It has a lot of good parts.
Mm-hmm.
Modern Warfare 2 just ratcheted everything up. I put 2 instead of 3 because I prefer 2 over 3. I think 3 didn't really do a whole lot more for me, and I honestly played 3 just to cap the story off. Just to find out what happens to Makarov, really, and to find out where everything ends at. But if I could treat Modern Warfare 2 as its own, by itself, as standalone, oh, fuck yeah, I would. But as a sequel to Modern Warfare 1, I love it.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely it just cranked it up. Just cranked it up a whole notch. Yeah. This is one that I thought was cheating, but I realized that I'm fucking stupid and no, it's not cheating. Legacy of Kain Soul Reaver. I thought, well, this is kind of cheating because Soul Reaver is its own series, and I thought, no, you fucking moron. Soul Reaver is part of the Legacy of Kain series, period. There's Legacy of Kain, Soul Reaver 2, Legacy of Kain Defiance, Legacy of Kain 2, on the Xbox, whatever, and then there's the fucking somewhere. Either way, all those games are in succession with each other. And I picked 2 just as the starting point. I picked Soul Reaver. Sorry, not 2. I picked Soul Reaver because when you play the first Legacy of Kain game, it's very Diablo in feel. It's top down, a lot of voice acting. It has its twist. It has its appeal if you are knee deep in the Legacy of Kain saga, period. But when you go to play Legacy of Kain Soul Reaver, I mean, you're going to 3D style combat, 3D visuals, lots of puzzle elements. The voice acting is still there, but it seems like the story gets ramped up even more. Soul Reaver, I mean, Legacy of Kain, the first one, was very good for teaching you the story of how Kain became Kain. But Soul Reaver starts this whole, like, giant spider web of story arcs and interweaving these tales together to start this large fabric of story of Legacy of Kain. And I feel it is much better. I have nothing negative to say about the Legacy of Kain, but I do see that they are 2 different games. And when you go from one to the other, I feel like Legacy of Kain Soul Reaver is definitely better than Legacy of Kain. So, what about you, Chris?
So I think this is my last one that is cheating in any way. But it's Super Metroid.
Okay.
And for this one's cheating for me because I won't say I've never played it, but I haven't played it much, not enough to really, I don't really say I've played it because of how little time I've put into it. But just from watching it, what I know about it, it is a vastly superior game to Metroid and what was the second one? Was it just
Metroid 2 Return of Samus.
Yeah.
That was on the Game Boy, so yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree, man. It's good. There's a sentiment that my mother said a long time ago. The second Batman movie came out, and I asked my mom as a kid, because I don't know, I was a kid. I was like, Mom, which do you like better? Do you like the first Batman or this Batman? And she said, well, I mean, you wouldn't have the second without the first, so I like that one more. I've never taken that reign to heart. I don't feel that the first one's going to be better just because it's the first, but I do appreciate the first for being what it is. I appreciate the first Metroid for being the first Metroid, because this was the first series that I can think of where it's, oh man, this gameplay mechanic is now a thing. You know, explore a large area, have areas blocked off, and you got to figure out where the items or you have to find the access to get to the new areas. Yeah. That's a cool thing to have, and I respect the Metroid. I respect Metroid 1 for being what it was, for bringing that to the market. But when you go from that to Metroid, Super Metroid, holy shit! Graphic upgrade, music upgrade, maybe even map size upgrade. Silent but awesome story upgrade. Holy crap. So much better. It's definitely not taking a shit on Metroid 1. It's just saying that this game was better. I hope we don't have to keep saying that through this entire list, because I feel like people may get that confused, and it's not what we're trying to get at. Again, like I said earlier, I found it a challenge to find games where I'm like, okay, this game right here, this game was shit, but the sequel came out and it was awesome. I really couldn't find anything like that. And that goes for all these games. Any of these games that I picked the sequel to, or Chris picked the sequel to, it's not shitting on the first one or whatever came before it. It's just this came out and went, wow, so much better. I also think a spirit of this list is that typically when movie sequels come out, I say typically, they usually suck.
Yeah.
You know, you'll get a movie and you're like, that movie was great. Oh, the sequel got announced. I can't wait. I bet it's going to be more and bigger and better. And you watch and you're like, oh, yeah, that sucked. So video games don't really have that stigma. They've been very fortunate to have a lot of sequels come out where they go, okay, they liked this. Let's give them more of this and better things around this. So, yep. Just to clear some air with all that shit. Donkey Kong Country 2, Diddy's Kong Quest. Man, I love Donkey Kong Country. I love the first one. Played it. I 102% of that game twice over and have played it. I even play that game to this day. But I love the second Donkey Kong Country. I liked the simplest thing, like having Sneakers, the spider that you can ride, and him being able to shoot webs. That, and having Dixie Kong, where she can use her hair to grapple onto things, and it's more platform maneuverability. The bosses seem to be a little bit more involved in this one as opposed to the first one. The graphics are pretty much the same. I mean, they still have almost that same aesthetic appeal, but a little bit better, just a smidge bit better. You can see that a little bit more money and time and love got put into this one. I definitely picked the second one over the third one, because the third one I'm so on the fence about. Again, for the littlest things, I cannot stand the Kremlin designs in Donkey Kong Country 3. I think they look ugly. I don't know why they went to the way that they are, but I didn't like them. Really, everything else about DKC 3 I enjoyed. The fact that Diddy and Donkey are out of the picture, and now it's just Dixie and Baby Kong, no big deal. They both controlled okay. They were both fine. But man, the second one just always has this place in my heart. And on that note, if you own a Wii or, a Wii or a Wii U or a Switch, and you have, or even a 3DS apparently, and you have not played any of the Donkey Kong Country Returns, I strongly recommend you do, because they are damn near the pinnacle of platforming games. So just throwing that little selling point out there. Another game, I guess it is kind of I guess this one is cheating, and hopefully this will be my last one, is Injustice 2. I have not played Injustice 1, but I have watched the movie for it. I watched the story stuff for it, and I just get this feeling like everything got ratcheted up with Injustice 2. The combat system seems to be upgraded. The story definitely upgraded. The character, the roster, the way that they incorporated every single character and kept them true to their character. The cinematic experience you get from this game, the online experience. I just I feel like an asshole because I haven't played the first one, but it just, from what I can see, from what I hear from people and what I can tell, Injustice 2 just cranked that meter up. You can definitely see the budget of Injustice 2. You can see the love and time and effort put in this one. And it seems like Injustice 1 came out, and it's like, you guys are onto something. This is good. Let's fucking crank it up. And then they did for Injustice 2. So, wanted to put that one on the list. What about you, Chris?
So, one that kind of goes against what you were saying about, the first one's not being bad. And I think this is the only one on my list that really fits that, is Streets of Rage 3.
Yep. See, I haven't played any of them, so this is all you, buddy.
Yeah, I talked about this on a previous episode. I actually went back and played all three because I was pretty sure I had only played 3. And that's, I'd only played 3. You mentioned someone said 2 was supposedly the best one. So I went back and played it. No. The first one was not a very good game. For its time, probably okay. Get a pass at least. But now, it's not one you'd bother with, 3 mechanically was better. Obviously graphically better. It's going to get better as it goes up. But the 1 and 2 both had just too many gameplay issues mechanically. They were missing things. There weren't a whole lot of options. There wasn't much to it. I want to say 2 was the one that had ridiculously hard bosses. Like you could not get through them without using your super, dying and repeating with your super, which didn't recharge or anything. So it's kind of a gimmicky thing to have to do on a boss fight, It's one thing when they just have, okay, I don't know the pattern or something like that. It's like, no, I literally cannot do damage to this boss unless I super. That's not fun. Yeah. That's just a grind. And you eventually run out of lives and you're like, okay, well, what do I do now? Because the level itself is fine. It's not overly difficult. It's just the bosses.
Yeah.
So 3 was a much superior game.
So one on my list, kind of in that same area, more like a slash 'em, beat 'em up. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, the arcade game. I've definitely went on record in expressing my frustration and yet still love for the first Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles game for the Nintendo. And man, it's that first one is something else. I mean, it's the first NES game that you can play as the Ninja Turtles. And if you're a Ninja Turtle fan, you're gonna want to play it, especially if you were a kid. If you were a kid back then and you liked the Turtles, you got this game, you're like, oh fuck yeah, and then you got your ass kicked for, I don't know, all the time. If you were lucky enough to make it past the seaweed dam disarming the bomb level, then, which everybody hates, and that's usually the blockade for people. You still have more shit to go through. I mean, the game is not easy by any stretch of the imagination. The further you go, the harder that game gets, until it's literally pattern memorization, and then for me, that's just not fun. Turtles 2 comes along, and you can kind of take your pick on this, folks, whether I'm talking about the arcade game or the NES game, because they basically mirror each other. You have side-scrolling, You have more of a 3D side view, sort of, so to speak, of the Turtles. More upbeat. Music's more upbeat. The action seems more upbeat. Definitely follows a beat 'em up slash 'em up appeal, as opposed to the first Turtles game, which feels, it's slasher-y, but it's more side-scrolly, overworld map. I don't know. They just don't feel the same. Mm-hmm. And the second one is to me, it's just so much better. It is definitely an arcadey, actiony, beat 'em up, co-op-y, fun, appealing game compared to the first one. I feel like the second one, and I think the third one was kind of the same too. I just feel like they had a better... The second and third game had a better appeal to the total audience. It had a better appeal to the total and gameplay audience as well, as opposed to the first.
Mm-hmm.
I just feel like it was just so much better. So many avenues. Also, this is one I know Chris can definitely chime in on.
Okay.
Halo 2. For whatever reason, to this day, I've still picked Halo 3 over Halo 2. But when you went from Halo 1 to Halo 2, this is where the shit started.
Yeah.
Halo 1 is definitely another, hey, you guys are onto a really good thing. You are popularizing first-person shooters on the console market, and or you're bringing first-person shooters to the console market bigger and better than they've ever been before. You guys should run with this. And they said, okay, and then they came up with Halo 2. It's the same thing, folks. You can see the money poured into Halo 2. You can see the time and effort put in to make things better and bigger and more bombastic and more in your face. The dual wielding starts to play a big thing in Halo 2. You get swords in Halo 2. You get a new, larger variety of weapons in Halo 2. You get to have more of a fleshed out story with the Covenant in Halo 2. The multiplayer speaks for itself. It's also upgraded in Halo 2. Halo 2 is just, it's another good case in the video game corner of the world where the first game came out, it captured people's attention, it got people's eyes involved, and then the sequel came out and they were like, yes, this is better. Thank you for making it more and more and more. Now, where the series has gone since then is up to everybody's opinion.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, 3 did the same thing. 3 had more additions. They were, the further this series went up the franchise, the more stuff became involved. But I put Halo 2 on the list because just it started that. Halo 2 was like it felt like an experiment almost. We're like, here you go. What do you guys think of this? And they said, we want more. We demand more. And they said, okay, here's more. And we said, thank you.
Yeah. And I think that's fair. 1 wasn't bad by any means. It was a phenomenal game, phenomenal success. But 2 did improve on it in pretty much every way. There's not anything I think I go back and go, man, Halo 1 was much better, than Halo 2.
Yeah.
When it comes to that. And yeah, between 2 and 3, that's a bit of a toss-up. After that, then it starts, going downhill. But
yeah.
Yeah.
I know that whenever Halo 2 came out, when I first put my hands on Halo 2 and got to play it, I was like, oh, wow, you guys brought way more to the table. I mean, and then that compared to Halo 3, it's like, okay, you guys know what you're doing now. You know what I mean? Like, you guys are on the path now. You know how to make this train bigger. So, either way, just figured it deserved to be on a better than sequels list. Another one, fun one here. Beautiful Katamari. Now, this is another controversial one for me because We Love Katamari is on my top 15 wall. That was the one that I picked. It's the one that I picked to this day. And I'm going to have to rebalance that list eventually because Beautiful Katamari is so much bigger. The draw of Beautiful Katamari is the scale and scope and size. A quick tangent about the Katamari series. I don't know if that game's ever going to get remastered. I hope it does. I think I saw some articles last month about potentially the Katamari series getting, remastered and coming out on the next generation consoles, and I'm fine with that. But Katamari, unfortunately, was a victim of its own success and a victim of its own size and scope and scale. Because the first Katamari, I think the largest you could get was rolling up like cities and things. I don't think it ever left the planet. I think We Love Katamari was the first one that kind of went out and got some planets involved.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful Katamari, you basically roll up the fucking universe.
Yeah.
I mean, you start rolling up planets, moons, star clusters, star constellations, meteorites, fucking galaxies, and then you roll up the center of the universe or the sun or whatever. It gets crazy. And the scale of Beautiful Katamari is so fucking incredible. The music in that last area is also phenomenal. And I picked Beautiful Katamari over my favorite Katamari just because the sequel, it almost maxed out what they could do. That's a sad thing to say, but they went all the way to the top.
Yeah.
Like if Katamari Damacy was the start of like, okay, let's try this weird idea where you're basically a guy that pushes a ball around that rolls up things. Okay, they liked it. Let's roll up bigger and bigger things. Okay, they liked that one. Let's roll up fucking everything. So, I tell you, as a game developer, that is a challenge for the Katamari franchise. That is a challenge for those game developers. What can you do? I mean, where can you go? If you were to make a Katamari sequel, what else can you do? Maybe shrinking in size? Maybe you being inside a person or something and doing cells and atoms? I don't know.
Whoa. It's not that type of game.
Yeah. I know. It's just...
this isn't South Park.
I feel like a remaster is going to be the better choice for them. And I will totally admit I won't be 1,000% doing backflips for a remaster because, good God, across the span of the Katamari games, I put in too many hours into this shit. Just kind of like Shadow of the Colossus. Like I own it. I'll probably buy it just to have it. But if they announced a straight sequel, I'll be like, okay, I've got to buy this just to see what the fuck you've done. Yeah. I want to know how you've made a sequel when the last thing that I did was roll up the fucking universe. But yeah, the Katamari series is so fucking good. And again, I just put Beautiful on here just because that's the top. They went as far as they could go. They put everything they could into this, and deserves to be mentioned.
Yeah.
How about you?
So, let's see. Another old school game. Street Fighter 2.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. In comparison to Street Fighter 1, which really a lot of people didn't even fucking know about. Like that's a genuine thing, man. You'd be surprised how many people think that Street Fighter 2 was the first.
Even though it has 2 in the name.
There's a Street Fighter. So, yeah.
I mean...
Such a markup difference.
And I was really tempted to put Street Fighter EX plus Alpha on here instead of Street Fighter 2, but I figured I'd keep it simple, and not have people going, huh?
What?
Yeah, because that was a fun game on PlayStation.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, Street Fighter 2, all around better than the first, more characters. This may be a cheating one. I don't know if I ever played the first one. I don't know.
I've seen Let's Plays and long plays of it, but I've never played it personally. And I mean, you can look at it. You could look at screenshots of the first Street Fighter and go, it's come a long way.
Yeah.
Because I think if I remember reading the lore of Street Fighter 1, that was basically Ryu's story on how he got like the fireball and the uppercut and all that shit. So, yeah. You have characters in Street Fighter 2 that have all their power moves and, and still continue their own storylines. So, definitely a markup from the original.
Let's see. I think that's it for me on old school games.
Well, I've got one as an old school game, most definitely. Super Mario Land 2, 6 golden coins. I feel like this one is definitely a genuine no bullshit entry on this list because Super Mario Land for the Game Boy was one of the first Game Boy games I ever owned and played. And for what it's worth, for what it is, it's a decent Mario game. I'll give you that. I almost equate this to the original Super Mario Brothers for the Nintendo, especially in comparison, because it's got basic platforming, side-scrolling, jumping, coin collecting, enemy stomping action. It does have some additional things. There's a level where you're in you're basically in a flying ship or something and shooting stuff down. It's got a little bit of shmup action in it. I'll give you that. It has its own unique style visually. You have pyramids and sphinxes and flying Maui heads and shit like that. It's got its own look. But when you go from that, which has the title of Super Mario Brothers, it has a Super Mario title, sorry, and then you go to Super Mario Land 2, 6 golden coins. Now you're in the good Mario games. Now you're in Mario. You have Mario with power ups. He's got ability to have. I think this is one where he had the rabbit wings. I believe so. Yeah, he could float with them. Different islands that he could travel to with levels in each, and they all have different aesthetic looks to them. It's a whole different game from the first Super Mario Land, and definitely a considerable upgrade compared to the first Super Mario Land. I think the first Super Mario Land had maybe 8 or 9 levels, kind of typical like the Super Mario Brothers, but Mario Land 2 has more. It also has a slight bit of collectathon-ish appeal to it, which was done better in the Wario Land game. But yeah, if you just comparing Mario Land 1 to Mario Land 2, so much better, so more memorable, and it feels like. That sounds kind of stuck up to say, but it feels more Mario than Mario Land 1, you know?
Yeah.
So, definitely deserves to be on the list. What else you got?
So this one, I kind of debated on putting on here, but I figured I'd just go with it. Final Fantasy 13-2.
You cheating son of a bitch. But it works.
It's
because
it's
it is
a direct sequel. Yeah,
it's a direct sequel.
Yep. I only debated putting it on here because none of the 13 games are considered great games anyway.
Yeah.
But in my mind, my personal ranking for these games is 13-2, and then a toss-up between 1 and 3.
Yeah.
I think out of those 3 games, 2 is the best one. 1. I'm one of those that are in the camp that it wasn't a bad game. It was very linear, yes. Yes, it took 13 hours to get to open world area, and even that's, limited. But that's not the point, I still felt it was overall an okay game. It suffered from that trying new things syndrome,
Yeah.
And that's why 2 ended up being better. Because they're like, okay, we see the issue, we'll refine it. And I'll say, I don't think 2 was any less linear overall, really. I mean, you still have a story you're following. Sure, you may be able to explore areas a little bit more, but it's just enough, I think, in my mind, to give you that illusion of having more freedom than you actually do.
Yeah, yeah.
Which may be, a good thing for them to do. It's that fine point where players get enough to not complain about it. They just have to deal with all the other, mechanic issues people have or whatever the complaints about it are other than linear. The combat system improved. It's still not an ideal system for me. I still want menu-driven Final Fantasies, but that's apparently a thing of the past now. So I'm just have to suck it up. But overall, I mean, it wasn't a bad experience. But yeah. 13-2 is much better than 13 in a lot of ways. I will say that I think plot-wise, 1 is best It just suffers from gameplay in compared to the other ones. What else you got?
I have, next on my list, Devil May Cry 3. So, when you play Devil May Cry 1, you're going to get a good game. And again, I don't mean to keep requalifying this, just want people to understand that not all these games are, we hated the first one, the second was better. It's just the improvement that's, you get the first one, it's like, holy shit, how good the second or third or whatever one is. When you play Devil May Cry 1, depending on your action gaming experience back in that day, back in that time frame, this was going to blow your mind. I mean, you've got sword and gun combat together. You have a unique aesthetic appeal with the puppets, with the puppet style enemies, the demonic aspect of Dante being damn near unkillable, even though he has a health bar, etc. Yada yada. The grungy guitar music with all the action. I mean, it's definitely its own flavor and its own appeal, and in its own right, it is a good game, very good. Devil May Cry comes out. Devil May Cry 2 comes out, and oh boy, kind of Mission Impossible 2's it. Kind of fucks it a little bit. Kind of mixed to low reviews all around. A lot of the combat wasn't that good anymore. The level designs were very short and bad. Just not that great of a game. Devil May Cry 3 comes out and says, "We're sorry. Here's the next Devil May Cry game. Our apologies." And holy shit, how good of a game it was. So, combat definitely upgraded. More stylistic, more engaging. So many more moves, so many more weapons to combine and swap stances and swap weapons and swap just all these different combinations that you can make. Such a fluid and engaging combat system. And again, using weapons and guns at the same time in tandem with each other across different weapons, across different guns. The story got upgraded a little bit campy and corny here and there, but you get an updated version of Virgil, which, if you remember, you did fight against in Devil May Cry 1. He just looked way different. That whole side of the story with him and the aspect of having him in the storyline, great. The boss battles, even better. There's more boss battles, and they are better. I mean, for fuck's sakes, people, you get a weapon that turns into it's a fucking scythe that turns into a fucking guitar, and the guitar actually has attacks, from actually grinding out music on the guitar to sliding and forward on your knees and jamming out it's so good. It really does suck that the second Devil May Cry 2 was so mediocre to bad, which I have played all these, yes. But 3 just so good, just skyrocketed into greatness as far as all those Devil May Cry titles have been. So definitely want to put that one on the list.
Mm-hmm.
I also put Ratchet and Clank Going Commando. This is the Ratchet and Clank that's on my top 15 wall. There have been several Ratchet and Clank games. My God, there were like 5 on the PlayStation 3 alone. This is another tale of Ratchet and Clank comes out. It's kind of a new thing. It's got its own appeal. It's slightly easy. Yeah, I'll give you that. It's a pretty quick blow through. But Devil May Cry 2 Going Commando comes out. And boy, hey, that would have been a better game in my opinion. If Dante had a sword that could turn enemies into sheep, that would have been that's what DMC2 needed, man. That's what it was missing.
The crossover we didn't know we needed.
Yeah. So Going Commando comes out. It's the second entry into the Ratchet and Clank series, and it just, again, I know I sound like a broken record, but that's what this was. It was an upgrade from the first one. You have more weapons, which means more upgrade abilities, which means more upgrade chains for all these weapons. which I believe I think this may have been a staple in the one that just got added to every new weapon. In the second one was that when you start with a base weapon, you can upgrade it and it does more damage, or its ability gets increases, or range of its ability gets increases, whatever. But when you either close to or fully max out upgrading a weapon, it basically has another feature. It has a new thing that it can do. That may have started in Ratchet and Clank 2 going Commando, and that may have been another reason why I put it up closer on that list to being my favorite. But in any case, there's just more stuff to do. There's more upgrading abilities in the second version of this game. The storyline gets a little bit better. There's a new antagonist involved, and his whole story arc is hilarious and fun and funny. It just all around, man. This is another game where you just saw everything get upgraded. I've played most every fucking Ratchet and Clank game in existence. The third one was okay. I kind of didn't like some of the direction that it went in, and it also kind of felt a little bit samey. But for better for worse, Ratchet and Clank for me almost has a Mega Man mentality, where it's like, man, I'm okay with more of the same. Case in point, the Ratchet and Clank PS4 remake that came out was basically more of the same. It was a retelling of the first game, and also a pseudo work-in of past story tie-ins and the movie itself tie-ins. But it's still the same shit. I mean, you're killing enemies, they're dropping bolts, you collect the bolts, you upgrade your weapons, bada bing, bada boom. But I like that. And just Ratchet and Clank 2 came out and just upped everything. Even though Up Your Arsenal was the third, second one was Going Commando, and it's always been a place in my heart as just being my favorite, and definitely an up to the ante compared to the first one. What about you, Chris? What you got?
All right, so I've got another old school one that I hadn't written down and just thought about, and it wasn't entirely because you mentioned it earlier. Twisted Metal 2.
I also have that on my list. Yay! We got the same game on the list. Awesome.
Yeah, that game's so much fun.
Yes,
it looks like garbage, but it's so fun to play.
Yep, definitely in comparison to the first one.
Yeah,
definitely an upgrade. I think the first one you had a lot of various cityscapes you could travel to that you fought in and combat in, and most of all the same stuff is still there. You know, it's you pick your weapon. Pick your vehicle. You got a variety of different weapons to choose from, as well as a unique weapon to your character. You run around, you blow each other up, you go through a few stages, 6, 7, whatever, and you beat the game, the end, and the endings are whatever they are. Twisted Metal 2 comes along, gives you more characters, gives you more world. I think Twisted Metal 2 wasn't World Tour the subtitle for it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So they
basically an alternate name, not really a subtitle.
Yeah.
That's what it was known as in Europe.
Okay. But the idea is you get to travel to different world aspects or different world locations, like Paris or Antarctica or like an Aztec area. Destructible environments, very cool. Little secrets you can find where you can just blow up and you can destroy shit. The different characters, the way that they were designed. I mean, Axel fucking driving around between two wheels. That's fucking awesome. And one of the biggest draws for me, as small as it is, because once you've seen them all, you're done, the Calypso being the antagonist, the way that Calypso was done in Twisted Metal 2.
Yeah.
I fucking love that so much. That is something that they try to do in a few other games, and it just has not been the same. Like, Calypso had his peak in Twisted Metal 2 for me, and it's definitely why I put 2 pretty much at the top of my list.
Yeah.
And on this list. And you said it best, Chris. This one is so much fun. All of the Twisted Metals are fun in their own right. Don't misunderstand. This one, this is like the most fun I've ever had in any Twisted Metal game ever. As many as they put out.
The exception being the Twisted Metal, reboot, remake, whatever you want to call it, That was released for PS4. It's total garbage, trash.
Oh, wow. Really?
Yeah.
I actually had Twisted Metal Black back in the day. And I will admit, I played through pretty much all of that. I did everything. And yet, that one does not hold memories in my heart like Twisted Metal 2 does.
Yeah.
Twisted Metal Black tried to go to a more darker, more serious tone, and they hit a lot of really good bumps. They did some things really good, but there's just something just not the same. Twisted Metal 2 had fucking Calypso. It had Calypso done that way with some of the endings were pretty fucking serious. Some of the endings are really fucking hilarious. And his wild, aloof attitude to holding a tournament where you're in a car shooting missiles at people, that game just did that so right.
Yeah.
So right. And it was the second one in the series. Yeah, I totally agree, man. Totally, it deserves to be on this list. Another game that I have, Battlefield Bad Company 2. Played both of these in succession. Battlefield 3 is not a sequel to Bad Company 2. This is just a Bad Company list. Bad Company 1. I mean, for one, putting Bad Company 1 and Bad Company 2's story side by side, kind of unfair. Bad Company is not really known for their storyline. I don't think any Battlefield in their right mind is or should be. Maybe Battlefield 1, maybe, but I don't know. I haven't played that game. But the draw and appeal for the Battlefield games, period, has always been the multiplayer. And going from Bad Company 1 to Bad Company 2 with more upgrades, more weapons, more multiplayer arenas, just, again, another game where they pumped more money and gave you more options, more features, and more of what you like from Bad Company 1. Bad Company 1 was good. It's the first one that started that shit for me. But 2 came along, and it just, I can't remember if aerial combat was a thing in Bad Company 1. That might have been one of the telltale switches for me. But, man, just choppering people from one place to another in Bad Company 1, so awesome. So yeah, definitely a sequel that outdid its predecessor. An old school one for me, Chris, Double Dragon 2, The Revenge. This one's a little off for me because I've played all 3 of the original Double Dragons, but my order of playing them is off. I played Double Dragon 2, and then 3, and then years later finally got around to playing 1. So this could be a little bit that I'm biased because I played 2 so much and fell in love with 2, but it's not a hatred to Double Dragon 1. I just feel that with the story involved in Double Dragon 2, with the different locales you can go to being so vastly different, the graphics being just a little bit different, a little bit better, but again, it's on Nintendo, so they're only going to do so much. I just feel like Double Dragon 2 is a better entry compared to Double Dragon 1. Just something that came along where you got even more of the good stuff from Double Dragon 1. What about you?
So my last one I actually have written down is Assassin's Creed Black Flag.
Oh, this was not planned, folks, I promise.
Yeah. The one you used as an example earlier, such a good example of, how not just, the second game in the series, but for most series, as you get further along, they get better and better. And even though there are 2 or 3 games after Black Flag, it's still the pinnacle of the series.
Yep.
And it's so much better than the predecessors. And don't get me wrong, they got better with each iteration. A lot of people say 2 was the best one. I don't know if that includes up to Black Flag or not, or if that was, before Black Flag was a thing. Or maybe Black Flag wasn't their cup of tea. Who knows?
Yeah.
I don't even want to know what their mind's thinking at that point. But the first few games in the series were a lot of the same. And this is kind of where you tapered off on your play as well. You know,
Yeah.
2 was essentially more of 1. Yes, slight mechanic changes are done a little bit better, but it's been a slow evolution for Assassin's Creed. Where they did fine in mechanics, they screwed up in story. I can't think of which one in particular it is by name, but one of the games you play, you beat it, and at the end you're like, really?
Yeah.
You know, an otherwise solid Assassin's Creed game it just, you know, goes down the crapper because of the ending, you know, or where they were going with the story. And it's kind of funny how even though all the games, you know, are in order, aside from this latest one that's a prequel, they don't really go into detail related to that ending. You know, it's still canon. It still happened. And there are small hints here and there, you know, it's stuff near that ending are related to it, but they don't actually, you know, bring it up as the main focus. Yeah. It's like this little piece of dialogue off to the side. Yeah, you remember that guy? Type thing. Not so much, all right, we're going and following, you know, in his path or researching his thing or, you know, something like that. It's like, no, yeah, he's a guy that was there. Anyway, but Black Flag didn't really have any of those issues. And what issues it did have, story related, were made up by you have a ship. I mean, that's the one thing that essentially made the game, even if you did find flaws elsewhere. You have a ship, it's done well, you can sail all over the place, it's huge.
Yep.
And you have that freedom. And even though, yeah, it's a collectathon like all the other Assassin's Creed games, it's not as forced.
Right.
It's not as random.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Well, rounding out my... by the way, do you have any more at all, or was that pretty much it for yours?
No, that's it.
All right. I've only got 2 left here, and then that'll be it for our list tonight. Half-Life 2. So I played Half-Life 1 back in the day, maybe a year or 2 after its original release. I don't even know what twigged me to play this. I don't remember having too many people that came to me, you know, beating my door down, telling me, hey, you need to play Half-Life. This is a great game, but it's a great game. I think maybe I read a lot about it in magazines and said, okay, this could be interesting. I mean, it's science / alien first-person shooter type stuff. Okay, I'll try it out. And for what it was, Half-Life 1 was pretty good. Mind you, I played this game on PlayStation 2. I did not play this on PC, which means I didn't have the PC game with the mods, with all the other expansions that came out after it. The big surrounding... all the big items surrounding Half-Life, I was not involved in. I had the PS2 version. I played the PS2 version, started it, played it, beat it, the end. Half-Life 2 comes along and holy fuck. Graphical upgrade, of course, because it's on another generation of consoles. Story has more intrigue, sure. The aliens playing a bigger role, Striders coming into play, having a rocket launcher that has the mechanic of the rocket goes wherever the laser breaks, driving around the countryside in basically a fucking go-kart, a dune buggy, awesome. This game, I remember this game specifically. For I think it was like 3 or 4 days in a row, I got in the dune buggy and I was driving around the coastline and I stopped at every single house on the way to the next objective. I got out of the dune buggy. I would walk around the house. I would explore around the yard. I would check the swing sets. I'd look in the garage areas. I'd go in the house. I'd fuck around with anything I could. I remember having the gravity gun specifically. And going into a house and finding a paint can, using the gravity gun to pick up the paint can, go outside and chuck that fucker in the air, and not only watch it fly because I shot it, but watching where it landed, paint would splatter everywhere, and thinking that was just the coolest shit in the world. Using the gravity gun to manipulate shit in that countryside area was so much fun for me for so many days on end. Just manipulating the environment, grabbing boards and making like seesaws and throwing shit down on them and seeing if I could like rocket things using my makeshift apparatus. Fucking fun. Going through Ravenholm for the first time and flipping the bird to all the weapons that I have, and just using the gravity gun and saw blades as weapons. Getting the gravity gun upgraded, and having the ability to pick up bodies and enemies and hum them across the screen and just not have to worry about them anymore. The gravity gun, period. Just the gravity gun makes Half-Life 2 so much better than Half-Life 1. Such an upgrade, such a generation and game leap from 1 to 2. Most deserving to be on a list like this. Last for me is Sonic Adventure 2. I'm also, again, in this weird fucking odd category where I like Sonic Adventure. I've liked both of them. Of course, this is, as it was for many people, this is one of my first Dreamcast games. I had this, Soul Reaver, Marvel vs. Capcom 2, and Jet Grind Radio. That was my 4 Dreamcast titles. I had played House of the Dead 2 and Hydro Thunder at a friend's house, but I didn't own those. Anyway, I had Sonic Adventure. This was the first 3D foray aside from Sonic 3D Blast. And I enjoyed it for what it was. This was back in this day. This was the Super Mario 64 of Sonic. I mean, it was a 3D representation. Does it hold up? Well, no, not really. It's got a lot of graphical hitches. It's definitely got a lot of I don't know. It definitely seems off. But I enjoy Sonic Adventure. I always have. Sonic Adventure 2 comes out, way better. You've got more characters to pick from. You have a light side and a dark side of characters to choose from. There's more collect-a-thon-y stuff, which I'm always all about. Has a different story. I enjoy Sonic Adventure 2 so much compared to Sonic Adventure 1, but I still love them both. Fun shame fact of mine is I played this game, I want to say about maybe close to a decade ago, with the sole intention of trying to get all, I want to say it's 126 or 120 or something, the emblems that you get in this game, the collectible items you can get. Yeah, I tried to get all of them, because when you get all the emblems in Sonic Adventure 2, there is a new level opened up that is basically a 3D remodel and remake of the Green Hill Zone. It was the first time this was ever done that I can recall. And I tried so hard. Some of the racing portions of that game just get so fucking stupid, like ridiculously hard. I think I got like 114 or 115 emblems, and it was a combination of being utterly fed up with trying, and some other game came out and I started playing it. But I've never been able to actually play that level. I've seen like Let's Plays and long plays where people have done it, and it does look awesome. But I need to go back and do that. I need to get that. I need to finish that. And I wouldn't mind, even to this day. I think Sonic Adventure 2 has been remade a few times. I know the original was on Dreamcast. I think there was Sonic Adventure 2 Battle on the GameCube. But I just want to stress that point. I like Sonic Adventures. To this day, I like both of them. But 2 was so much better. Even with Big the Cat being what he is. I mean, I even though basically Tails and Robotnik's levels are pretty much equal. I mean, I like Sonic Adventure 2. I loved it. I think it was way better than the first one. and I put it on this list. So, yeah, I hope that was a good trip down memory lane for both of us and for our audience as well. Again, the spirit of this was just kind of a like, man, it sucks to be movies, because movies historically has a different take. You know, usually sequels, when you see sequels for a movie, it's like, oh no, it's not that good. Games kind of skirt it out on the good side. So what about you, lovely audience? What game sequels have come out that you've played, or even that you heard of, or you know, that are just way better than the original? It can be any number, and it could be whatever it could be. If it is a direct sequel, it just blows its predecessor out of the water, you know, that's good. Talk about it. Let us know. What of the games that we mentioned do you agree or disagree? I mean, maybe you think Halo 3 is way better than Halo 2. I mean, that's fine. Let us know why. Tell us why. And any other topic we talked about today, if you have any D&D stuff you'd like to input about, any of the Marvel movies that you may have seen, any games we discussed, anything you want to talk about, we'd love to hear any feedback from you, and I guarantee you're going to hear it on this episode sometime soon. Many ways that you can get this feedback to us. You can find us on Facebook. Just go to Facebook and search for End of Time Cast. You can direct message us. You can leave us a post on the wall. And we're pretty good about checking it, so we'll definitely respond to it. And it may be how you found this episode right here, so tell your friends, family, whoever about the End of Time Cast on Facebook. You can send us an email at endoftimecast@gmail.com. That's endoftimecast@gmail.com. No funny numbers in there. Just spell it as you heard it. We still have a Twitter page up. You can tweet at us. You search Twitter page for End of Timecast. Many ways to get feedback to us. Anything you want to talk about, we'd love to hear feedback from our audience. And we're just gonna keep going with these episodes. We'll have another topic coming up, and I think the one after that we're gonna be doing another Game of the Year debate. Oh, great! Oh, joy! But that's it for tonight's episode. So until next time, I'm Michael.
I'm Chris.
Good night, everybody.